Welcome to Reddit Stories, where OP's wife really wants him to sing karaoke with her. Am I the jerk for not singing karaoke with my wife and her family? I'm American and my wife is Filipina. We've been married for 3 years, and honestly, our relationship is great. We communicate well, support each other, and we rarely fight. But there's this one thing that keeps coming up, and I'm starting to wonder if I'm the one in the wrong. Whenever we visit her family, they love to sing karaoke. It's not just a once-in-a-while thing. It's a big part of the gathering. Everyone joins in. The machine comes out, the drinks flow, and the living room turns into a mini concert. Her family is warm and welcoming, and they've always made me feel included in everything. Except, I can't bring myself to sing. I've always been shy, especially when it comes to stuff like that. I'm not a good singer at all. But more than that, I grew up in a really judgmental environment. If you so much as raised your voice off-key, someone would make fun of you or humiliate you. That stuff sticks with you. So now, even though I'm an adult and I know her family wouldn't mock me, I still freeze up when the mic gets passed around. Every time I politely decline. I don't storm off or act annoyed. I just sit with the group, clap for everyone, cheer people on, and enjoy the atmosphere. But every time, I can tell it bothers my wife. She'll smile through it, but later she always brings it up. She says she wishes I'd sing, even just one song. She tells me that nobody's judging, that half her uncles are tone deaf and nobody cares. It's just about being part of the fun. I try to explain that it's not about them, it's about how I feel. The panic, the embarrassment, the fear of being the center of attention. I've told her I'm not trying to exclude myself, I'm just not ready. She says I'm being silly, that I'm overthinking it, that I'm loved and safe, and this isn't like it was when I was growing up. I believe her, I really do, but it doesn't make the fear go away. Last weekend, it happened again. Her family did karaoke. I didn't sing. She was quiet afterward. Later that night, she said it made her sad. Not because I didn't sing well, but because I didn't even try. She said it feels like I'm keeping a wall up and that singing together is part of how her family bonds. I told her again that I'm sorry, that I support her and I'm happy to be there, but I just can't sing in front of people. She said, "You don't even have to sing well, just sing. For me." Now I've been thinking about it nonstop. Am I being selfish? Am I letting my past control me too much? I never meant to hurt her or make her feel like I'm not part of her world, but at the same time, I feel like forcing myself to sing would just make me miserable and anxious the entire night. So, am I the jerk for not singing karaoke with her family? Not the jerk. You're not refusing to connect, you're just not doing it through a microphone. Fear like that doesn't vanish just because someone says it's fine, even if it's coming from a good place. Your wife means well, but pushing you into something that triggers anxiety won't build connection, it'll just build resentment. Keep showing up, keep supporting, and maybe one day you'll feel ready to sing. But that choice should be yours, not forced for the sake of tradition. No jerks here. This is one of those situations where no one's trying to be hurtful, but feelings are getting tangled anyway. Your wife sees karaoke as love and connection, and you see it as a spotlight you were trained to fear. Neither of you are wrong. You're protecting yourself from something that genuinely makes you anxious, and she's hoping for a moment that feels like inclusion. It's okay to need time, and it's also okay for her to be disappointed. Just keep talking it through. Update. I just wanted to thank everyone who took the time to comment on my original post. Reading your responses helped me realize something that should have been obvious, but it wasn't. The reason I was so afraid of singing had nothing to do with my wife or her family. It was all about my past. I had spent so much of my life being mocked or shut down anytime I tried something new that I just assumed people would laugh at me even when they've never given me a reason to believe they would. The more I thought about it, the more I realized that her family has only ever been kind and welcoming to me. No one's ever made a rude comment or rolled their eyes. I started wondering what it might feel like to actually give it a try, just once. I didn't tell my wife because I didn't want to let her down if I couldn't go through with it, but I made a promise to myself to at least try. The next time we were at her parents' house, the karaoke machine came out like always. Everyone was singing, laughing, and having a good time. A few songs in, I leaned over and told my wife I was ready to sing one. She froze for a second like she didn't believe me. Then her whole face lit up. Biggest smile I've seen in her in a long time. She grabbed the mic and asked what song I wanted. I already knew. I picked one of my favorites, Don't Stop Believin' by Journey. As soon as the music started, I could feel myself sweating. But once I started singing, something shifted. The nerves were still there, but they started to fade. Her family didn't mock me or laugh. They smiled, they clapped. A few even sang along with me. They looked happy, not because I was hitting every note, but because I was finally sharing the moment with them. That's when it hit me. I was safe. These people weren't here to judge me. They just wanted me to be part of the fun. I finished the whole song and we all had a blast. Afterward, a few people even told me I sounded great. I figured they were just being polite, but later my wife told me no, they really meant it. And honestly, she said I sounded great too. I told her it must have been all those years of singing it in the shower. That night stuck with me. I realized that a lot of the things I've been afraid of in life are just ghosts from my past. They don't even exist anymore. I've been holding on to fears like they still have power, when in reality, they don't. Letting go of the past and choosing to live in the moment is one of the best things I've ever done. I don't know if I'll turn into a karaoke regular, but I know now that joy and connection are meant to be experienced now, not kept behind a wall built out of fear. And that feels pretty amazing. I'm so proud of you, truly. What you did took real courage, not just to sing, but to face something that's been holding you back for years. That moment wasn't just about karaoke. It was a powerful reminder that our past only has as much power over us as we let it. You saw the fear, felt it, and chose to step through it anyway. That kind of growth stays with you forever. OP walked into karaoke night with decades of fear on his back and walked out a Journey cover artist. And not just any song, he picked Don't Stop Believin'. That's not a performance, that's a personal breakthrough with a soundtrack. Meanwhile, his wife is in the corner like, I knew you could sing, I just needed the right power ballad to summon it. Sometimes all you need is a family that actually supports you and a little Steve Perry. My fiance threatened to break up with me if I told her best friend's husband that his wife is cheating on him. My fiance, who's 28 female, and I, 27 male, have been together for 12 years, engaged for the last 3. We've grown up side by side and built a home together. And for the most part, our life feels steady. Sure, like any long-term couple, we hit the occasional bump, but we've always worked things out. The problem we're having right now is not so much to do with us directly, but with her best friend, who I'll call Beth in this post. The other morning, I stopped at a small bakery on my way to work. While waiting for my order, I noticed a familiar face across the street. It was Beth. At first, nothing seemed off. She was talking to a man I didn't recognize. I turned away to grab my sandwich, and when I looked back, they were kissing. Not a friendly goodbye type of kiss, but the kind that makes it obvious they're together. Now, Beth is married. I stood there for a second, thinking maybe I was seeing things wrong. But no, it was her. So I took a photo. It wasn't the most noble thing to do, but I thought her husband might need to see it if it ever came to that. Later that day, I got home and I told my fiance what I'd seen. I showed her the picture. Her reaction wasn't what I expected. She barely looked at it before telling me to delete it, said it wasn't our business and that we should stay out of it. That didn't sit right with me. I told her that if I were in Beth's husband's shoes, I'd want to know. Her tone changed immediately. She said if I told him, she'd consider our relationship over. That stopped me cold. 12 years together and she was ready to throw it all away over her friend's secret? She later apologized for saying that part and said she didn't mean it, but she kept insisting I stay quiet. She told me telling him would destroy lives and friendships. But in my head, that didn't make sense. The lives were already being destroyed, just quietly. I told her that if the truth ended our relationship, then it probably wasn't as strong as I thought. I didn't mean it to sound cold, but it came out sharper than I planned. I was angry, hurt, and confused. She doubled down anyway, said I had no right to interfere, that I was being self-righteous, and that it would only cause chaos. But I couldn't ignore it. Beth's husband is a good man. We've had dinner together plenty of times. We're not best friends, but we get along. He's kind, steady, and definitely doesn't deserve to be lied to like this. That night, I barely slept. I kept thinking about what it said about my fiancé. that she could look at a photo of betrayal and still defend her friend. I couldn't shake the thought that maybe this wasn't just about loyalty. Maybe it said something about how she viewed cheating itself. When the sun came up, I decided what I was going to do. I hadn't told the husband yet, but I knew I would. Whether it was anonymously or face-to-face, he was going to find out. I also planned to talk to Beth, give her the chance to come clean before I said anything myself. The whole thing has left me questioning everything about my relationship, my fiancé's morals, and what loyalty really means. Maybe I'm about to lose the person I've loved for more than a decade, but if that happens because I told the truth, maybe I need to rethink who I'm marrying. Her reaction says a lot. If my partner came home and told me he saw my friend cheating, I'd be shocked, maybe sad, but not defensive. I'd want to know everything, talk about it, maybe even try to figure out what to do together. The fact that your fiancé's first instinct was to protect the cheater tells me that she already knew, or at least suspected. Either that, or she's hiding something herself. You're not crazy for questioning her moral compass. You're doing the right thing. You didn't create the problem, you just happened to see it. Your fiancé's anger isn't really about Beth, it's about control. She doesn't want you to make a choice that might make her look bad to her friend group. If you lose your relationship over this, it's not because you told the truth. It's because she couldn't handle the truth existing. Update. It's been a while since I first posted, and I wanted to close the loop on what happened. I ended up telling Beth's husband. At first, I considered doing it anonymously, but that didn't sit right with me either. So I called him and I told him what I saw. I explained that I hadn't meant to get involved, but couldn't live with myself keeping it a secret. Then I sent him the photo. He was quiet for a while, thanked me, and hung up. A week later, he called me back. He said that he had confronted Beth and she admitted everything. He filed for divorce not long after. She moved out within days. Last I heard, he's doing better. He told me the lawyers are confident he'll keep the house because of the infidelity laws where we live. As for my relationship, it didn't survive. My fiancée was furious when she found out I told him. She said I'd broken her friend's home. That line hit hard because it showed me exactly where her loyalty lay. I told her I didn't break anything, her friend did. After 2 days of constant fighting, I ended it. We're still sorting out our living arrangements, but she'll probably be the one moving out. I didn't want things to end like this, but I also couldn't marry someone who'd look at a clear photo of betrayal and defend it to the bitter end. Beth's husband got the truth, and I got mine. I'm not angry anymore, just tired. 12 years is a long time to invest in someone, but sometimes the moment you tell the truth is also the moment you realize what you've been ignoring for years. Here's to a new year, and hopefully a cleaner one. You did what most people wouldn't have had the guts to do. It's easy to say, I'd want to know, but most stay quiet to keep the peace. You stood up for honesty even when it cost you something personal. That's rare. You didn't ruin a home. You just refused to keep the walls standing over a lie. This might sound harsh, but your fiancée saved you from a lifetime of moral compromise. She showed you exactly who she was when she chose silence over truth. You lost someone, but you also gained peace. And that's worth far more than any long relationship built on denial. 12 years together, and one photo showed who she really was. Yeah, loyalty's not about covering for a liar. It's about telling the truth, even when it's ugly. He lost a fiancé, but he kept his conscience. Some breakups are just the truth, taking out the trash. My friend was mad that I only took 1 week off of work for her visit. When my close friend told me she wanted to visit, stay in my home, use my car, I was thrilled at first. We hadn't seen each other in a while, and I thought it would be nice to catch up in person instead of just texting. I took a full week off work, scrubbed the house, and even made a little itinerary with hikes, tours, restaurants, etc. Then she sent me her flight details. She booked the ticket for 12 days. Her reason was that it was cheaper. She didn't ask, and I found out about it after the ticket was bought. I work as a hospice nurse, so I can't always rearrange my schedule easily, but I did my best. I told her that I could take 1 full week off, but I might have to work a couple of my on-call night shifts. She said she understood completely. She arrived with a smile and a suitcase the size of a refrigerator. At first, things were fine. We went hiking, checked out local shops, ate out every day. I made sure she felt at home. But somewhere along the way, the energy shifted. It started small, like she'd make little comments about my house being cute but old-fashioned, or that my car had seen better years. My 2 dogs, who are honestly the sweetest souls, were a bit much to her. I brushed it all off because I wanted her visit to go well. That's my nature. I take care of people for a living, and sometimes I forget that not everyone deserves that kind of care. Then came the boat tour incident. I had paid for tickets for both of us. The tour started at 8:15 and it was an hour and 15 minutes away. So being practical, I said we should arrive by 8 just to be safe. When we got there, she glared at me in the parking lot and snapped that I had lied about the time because we could have slept in 15 minutes longer. I just stood there trying to calm down, wondering how someone could make a vacation argument out of punctuality. After that, the tension thickened and every little thing became a debate. She didn't like my coffee brand. She thought my guest room mattress was too firm. She said my dogs were spoiled because I let them sleep on the couch. Then came the part that really tested me. On one of my work nights, I was on call. Hospice work isn't light duty. When you're responsible for over 100 patients across a county, you never know if the phone will stay quiet or ring off the hook. That night, it rang a lot. I was out comforting families, managing pain, and confirming deaths. I come home in the morning emotionally drained, physically heavy, and ready to collapse for a few hours. I told her I'd be napping that afternoon before my next shift. She said, "No problem, rest up." Then she turned on the vacuum cleaner right outside my bedroom door. When I opened the door, she said, "Sorry, the dog shed too much." At that point, I realized something important. Being nice and kind doesn't mean you owe anyone your space and peace. By day 9, I was completely spent, but I still took her out to do everything she wanted. Shopping, sightseeing, long drives, nice dinners. She'd occasionally thank me, but even her gratitude came with a complaint attached. For example, "The food was good, but your town really needs more variety." The morning before she left, she told me we needed to talk. I thought she might apologize for being tense. Instead, she wanted a performance review. We went on a sunrise hike, her idea, and that's when she told me she had been stressed watching me work. She said my job seemed depressing, that I was too focused on death, and that being around it was ruining her vacation. She added that my house was too small for someone with my potential and that I should probably eat more vegetables. She even said she had thought about leaving early because she felt uncomfortable in my home. I just stood there on the trail, watching the sunrise, and wondered how I could have possibly made her feel uncomfortable by simply existing in my own life. I told her calmly that I love my life. My work has meaning. My home is peaceful. My dogs are family. I'm content, and I don't need more than that. She looked disappointed, almost offended. I think she expected me to agree that my life needed fixing so she could feel superior. The next morning, I drove her to the airport in silence. She hugged me and said she had had a refreshing trip. I smiled politely, waved goodbye, and exhaled like someone finally closing a long, awkward chapter. She texted me every day for a week after that, trying to pick up where we left off. I replied briefly at first, then less and less. When she finally asked why, I told her honestly that the visit had been hard for me and that I needed space. That was the last message I sent her. I never heard from her again, and I realized that silence has been the most peaceful part of our friendship. Sometimes people don't want to share your peace. They want to rearrange it, question it, and call it complacency. But I'm not sorry for being happy and content. I'm glad that relationship ended. You welcomed her into your home, your routine, your world, and she treated it like a test she was grading. I wouldn't really call that friendship. It's bullying dressed up as concern. A real friend would admire your devotion to hospice work and be thankful for the time you carved out for her. The fact that she criticized your diet and home decor after being hosted for free says everything. Some people can't stand seeing others at peace. She was absolutely trying to assert dominance. That "we need to talk" moment wasn't about care. It was about hierarchy. You were the caretaker, the calm professional, and she couldn't handle not being the center of attention. Watching you manage a demanding, compassionate job probably highlighted her own insecurities, and instead of facing that, she decided to pick apart your life. It's not your fault she mistook your stability for something to criticize. Anyone who can belittle a hospice nurse for being dedicated has no empathy. That kind of work demands patience, strength, and a heart most people don't have. She came into your home, used your car, ate your food, and still left acting like you owed her more. That's entitlement, plain and simple. People like that don't understand that love of service doesn't mean servitude. You gave her your best and she still wanted more. Good riddance. So this friend came for a visit and acted like she was grading a lifestyle exam. Yeah, she thought she was starring in Extreme Judgment, Friend Edition. Imagine criticizing a hospice nurse for working too hard. Some folks just can't handle peace unless they're the ones disturbing it. Am I the jerk for trying to drive people away from the bar below my apartment? I've lived in the same small apartment for 8 years. It's on the second floor of a mixed-use building on a quiet street in a big West Coast city. The first floor has a bakery, 2 restaurants, a tattoo parlor, and a couple of small shops. Everyone in this building knows each other. Most of my neighbors have been here for more than a decade. Until recently, the spot directly below my unit was a family-owned sushi restaurant. It had been there for years, even before I moved in, and it was peaceful. The owners were sweet, an older couple who would bring us leftover rolls at closing sometimes. They closed around 9 every night. The patio below my window had maybe 8 tables, and the chatter from it never went past 10. It was the kind of quiet hum that made a neighborhood feel alive, but not loud. When the owners finally retired to be closer to their grandkids, I was genuinely happy for them, but it still felt like losing a bit of home. The space stayed empty for about 3 months. Then one morning, I saw construction trucks pull up. A new sign went up not long after, and the word around the block was that a local restaurateur had leased the place. The guy owned several spots around the city, and people loved his burgers. That part sounded promising. I figured it would just be another decent place to grab a bite downstairs. But pretty quickly, we found out he wasn't opening a restaurant this time. He was opening a bar. And not just any bar, but the kind that stays open until 1 or 2 in the morning. The kind that aims for the late-night crowd, not families grabbing dinner. At first, I tried to stay positive. Maybe it would be more of a chill lounge or a craft beer spot. But within a month, it became obvious what kind of place it was. It catered to the young and loud crowd, 20-somethings looking to party after every other place had closed. By midnight, the sidewalk below my window sounded like a festival crowd. Laughter, shouting, music, clinking glasses. The garage-style patio door they had installed made it worse. Whenever they rolled it open, the bass from their speakers and the sound of every conversation spilled straight up into my apartment. I'd go to bed at 10 and still be awake at 1, listening to half-drunk strangers argue about whose Uber was whose. After a couple of weeks of this, I decided to talk to the owner. I didn't go in angry or hostile. I walked down during the day when it was quiet and asked to speak to him. I told him I'd been living upstairs for years, that the noise was keeping me up most nights, and asked if there was a way they could close the patio earlier, or maybe keep the music lower after midnight. He barely looked up from his phone, told me it was a commercial area and I could always move if I didn't like it. I reminded him the building was mostly residential upstairs. He just shrugged. That was the moment I realized he wasn't going to do a thing about it. 2 weeks later, I was lying in bed one night around 11:30, listening to a group outside drunkenly scream and sing Sweet Caroline, and I hit my limit. I couldn't take another night of pretending to sleep while my floorboards vibrated. So I decided to fight noise with noise. I dragged a small table to my front window, set my Bluetooth speaker on it, and connected it to an old phone and queued up Jingle Bells. Not the upbeat pop version, but the smooth Frank Sinatra version. I do have class. I set the volume high enough to drift down into the street, pressed play, and left the apartment. I drove to a casino across town to play cards until the bar closed. When I got back at 2:30, I turned off the music and went straight to sleep. The next weekend, the same thing happened. Loud voices, open patio, thumping music. So I ran it back. Jingle Bells at full volume on repeat. Then I left again. I ended up doing this 4 or 5 nights a week for the next 3 weeks. Whenever they opened that garage door and the noise started spilling out, Sinatra would take the stage. And guess what? The patio started emptying out earlier and earlier. The garage door stayed shut more often. I noticed people smoking quickly and then leaving instead of staying for another round. I didn't gloat. I didn't want a war. I just wanted sleep. But I will admit, Every time the first jingle bells rang out over the street, I smiled a little. My neighbors were on board with it. I talked to the folks above and beside me before starting. Everyone was losing sleep because of that bar. Even our building superintendent told me to go for it. After about a month of my little musical campaign, things finally started to quiet down. I could sleep again. The bar was still open, but the energy was different. The crowds thinned out and the patio door was shut most nights. The laughter and shouting were replaced by normal chatter. I started to feel a little bad though. I knew I was hurting their business, even if they brought it on themselves. My dad thought I was being petty, and a few friends agreed. Others thought it was hilarious. But the street feels peaceful again now, almost like it used to. Still, part of me wonders if it's too good to last. The owner hasn't said a word to me, and I've got a feeling he's planning something to win back his late-night crowd. If anything major happens next, good or bad, I'll come back with an update. Let's just say, the war between Frank Sinatra and the bar downstairs might not be over yet. Not the jerk. You tried to handle it the right way and the owner dismissed you. If he wanted a bar, he should have picked a location zoned for nightlife, not a residential building. You didn't destroy his business, he did that himself by ignoring his neighbors. In the UK, we have noise laws for exactly this kind of thing. You were polite first. He forced your hand. Honestly, this is the best kind of petty. You didn't damage property, you didn't call the cops every night, you just weaponized Sinatra. If the owner had even a shred of respect for the people living above, none of this would have happened. The guy underestimated how creative tired neighbors can become. Update. So I told myself I'd stop once they started keeping things reasonable, and for a while it worked. Then came July 4th. The bar threw a massive Independence Day party, the kind of event you could hear before you even reached the block. Music so loud it shook the windows. People spilling onto the sidewalk, shouting, smoking, leaving bottles everywhere. At some point, a fight broke out. Police showed up and the place got shut down for the night. A few days later, word spread that the city had pulled their late-night liquor license. Apparently, they weren't even fully approved to operate as a bar. They needed a specific kind of nightclub permit and they didn't have it. After that, they closed for a bit. I didn't know if it was permanent or just a break, but it was blissfully quiet. When they finally reopened a couple months later, things looked different. Same name, but the vibe was calmer. They had rebranded as a restaurant. New hours too, closing at 10. There's no shouting under my window, no bass rumbling through my floors. They even hung new signs promoting their food instead of their drinks. Curious, I went in for lunch one afternoon, sat at the bar, ordered a burger, and chatted with the new bartender. I asked what happened to the old setup. He said the owner had some personal issues, going through a divorce, drinking too much, losing control of the business. I don't wish him ill. I just wish he had shown a little respect when I first asked to talk to him. It would have saved both of us a lot of trouble. Anyway, his business partner had stepped in and taken over operations. I hesitated for a second, then confessed that I was the one who had been blasting the Jingle Bells loop. He laughed so hard he had to lean on the counter. Turns out the old staff had told him about the mysterious Christmas soundtracks that would start up whenever things got loud. Apparently, the reason they never escalated or came upstairs to confront me was because they were terrified I'd report them to the city. They knew they were skating on thin ice with their license. Now, months later, the new restaurant is thriving. The patio's still there and people eat outside most days, but it's calm. Just conversation, laughter, and the clinking of glasses, not the chaos of midnight bar crowds. And I've never had to play Jingle Bells in June again. You won the war and did it without breaking a single law. Petty? Maybe. Effective? Absolutely. Sometimes the only language rude people understand is inconvenience. Glad peace was restored. Imagine being drunk at midnight and hearing Jingle Bells on loop. Nothing sobers you faster than realizing even Santa wants you to shut up. Karen demands my emerald ring. I'm 48 female and my eldest is 22 male. He's been with his fiancée, my daughter-in-law, since they were 20 and he wants to marry her now. I'd always liked her before now. She's a smart girl and she fits in well with our family. She's driven and she makes my son happy. Everything was all roses until they got engaged. Now, since I was little, I've been fascinated with jewelry. When I was older and married, had my own income, I started to collect rings. I would design them myself. I used to ask friends and family to give me cash that I could put towards them and save up my disposable income towards whatever ring I wanted. Edit. Okay, apparently this is controversial, but it's always been the custom of my family to give cash during celebrations. It's also very normal in my community to ask your friends to give cash. I've done this myself for plenty of my friends. However, the majority of the cost of each piece of jewelry was always borne by me. Whatever I got from birthdays was a bonus top-up, not something I relied on to be able to afford it. It would be less than 10% of each piece, definitely not the bulk. Sorry, but a few commenters were derailed by this. I wasn't buying one every year, but over time, I've built a nice collection of rings. My favorite are sapphire with halo of diamonds, an emerald in a trilogy with 1-carat diamonds, either side, and one with a ruby set in it. After my son got engaged and we invited him and his daughter-in-law to have dinner at our house, daughter-in-law started to speak to me. She said she's been seeing my emerald ring over the years, and she's always wanted one herself. She pointed out that I wear this one the least often, which is true, and demanded that I gift it to her as an heirloom engagement ring. This is in addition to other wedding gifts and expenses we had discussed as a family during dinner. This includes gold to the value of approximately 6,000 pounds, which is honestly more than my entire wedding cost, and which I still think is a significant amount. This rubbed me the wrong way, and I admit I accused her of trying to pick through my estate before I'm even gone. I told her the ring is mine, and I can sell it on my deathbed if I want to. She has no right to expect it, and she's being a rude brat by demanding it. She yelled at me that something like this just can't be sold. It should be an heirloom, and it's normal for heirlooms to be passed on while the wearer is still alive. I told her to leave if she was just in my home to demand my property, and she stormed out, taking my son with her. She's mad at me, and my son says I should have just passed the ring on to her since I have others, and it would be a nice gesture to welcome her into the family. He says it's no different than his sister occasionally borrowing some of my pieces. My husband and my daughter are on my side, but this is the first time my son has shut me out like this. So, am I the jerk? Edit. Daughter-in-law already has an engagement ring. It's beautiful, and I would call it expensive. This is not a case of her being proposed to without a ring. Not the jerk. Your daughter-in-law is quite the entitled gold or emerald digger. If she wanted it to be an engagement ring, the proper thing would have been for your son to discuss it with you. Her asking for it is shocking and rude. It's not an heirloom if you're the first owner in the family. Heirlooms tend to have generations behind them, and they are not necessarily given away during the owner's lifetime. Many family mementos are distributed as part of an estate after the owner is gone. Don't loan anything to her, or you will never see it again. Well, what do you think? Should OP give the ring to her daughter-in-law or not? Please let us know. If my fiance demanded my mom's ring, I'd drop them like a bad habit. Am I the jerk for insulting the food my wife made, despite not knowing that she made it? I'll try to keep this short. My wife and I are 46 and 47. We've been married for 19 years, and not once in our marriage has she ever cooked. I honestly never minded. She told me that she's a terrible cook, and I like to do it anyway. Yesterday, I had a long day at work, and I told my wife this. She told me she would order food in so I didn't have to cook. I come home and she sets the table. The food is neatly placed on 2 plates, which should have been my first clue that it was home cooked, and I began to dig in. The food was bland, borderline gross, and nothing to what I had tasted before. My head was already pounding. I was not in the mood for some crappy food. I just looked up from the food and told her, "This food sucks. Please don't ever order from this place again." She got really quiet and then sad. I asked her if everything was okay, and she said yes. She still seemed off the whole dinner. After dinner, I wouldn't stop bothering her, wouldn't stop asking her what's wrong, until she finally snapped and told me that she cooked the food. It wasn't ordered. She said she was sorry and she won't cook for me again, and I could see her tearing up. She went right to bed. I had to leave early the next day, so she was asleep. I asked a buddy of mine for advice, and he said I shouldn't have talked about anybody's food that way. Am I the jerk, or was this just an honest mistake? Edit for clarification. I did not mean this in a hateful way at all. My wife and I have lived in the same area our entire marriage and very often come across an absolutely terrible takeout place. It's a thing we do, saying, "Oh, this sucks." Usually the response is a laugh, because we have a tally of the horrible places and we find it funny. My fault for not specifying that. Edit. And for those of you talking bad about my wife because she doesn't like to cook, you're out of line. So what if she doesn't want to cook? She doesn't like it. I do, so I do it. She can learn how to if she wants to, but she doesn't have the enthusiasm. If she really needs to, she'll learn. She can do whatever she wants because she helps doing other things that I wouldn't like to do. Comment about whatever you want, but going after her for not cooking is so pathetic. Last update. I got home yesterday with flowers and a bottle of wine. I set her down and told her the food wasn't restaurant quality, but I thought it was great for a beginner. She said she'd like to learn a little bit of basic cooking, so I'm going to teach her for whatever she wants to cook. She laughed about it a little, about how bad the food was. Thank you for all of the advice. I'm 19, female. My boyfriend, who's 22, is very excited about a party that I'm not invited to. We've been together for about 1 year, and he's amazing. We've had arguments here and there, but nothing too serious except for this one. Last week, he got invited to a college party and I wasn't, to which I don't really mind. The problem is, he was invited by one of the sorority girls who's made it clear that she has a crush on him on her social media. He plays football. She even has a highlight on her Instagram tagged "My Crush" with his pictures. My boyfriend told me there's nothing to worry about because he's only interested in me. He said she's delusional to think there could be something between them. The party is on Friday and he's been very excited about it. He already prepared what he was going to wear yesterday. He bought new shoes and designer clothes. Normally he doesn't even care about that kind of stuff. He's always showing me the party group chat, telling me how amazing everything is planned out. As he was showing me, he got an Instagram message from this sorority girl saying, "We should try it then." He swiftly swiped it away and acted like it was nothing. When I asked him what she meant, he said that she wants to learn how to throw a football. All right. I also overheard him talking with his best friend about how amazing it's going to be. Honestly, I feel like this excited him even more than our anniversary, and it's hurting me. I asked him if I can join him too, and he told me it's an invite-only party, so I can't come with him. Well, someone else will be doing that from the sounds of it. I need advice on what to do because I feel so overwhelmed and I'm probably not thinking straight at the moment. What should I do? Update. Hey everyone, thank you for opening my eyes. I didn't want to think the worst about my ex-boyfriend, but y'all were right. After making this post, I had a lot to think about and evaluate from the comments I received. Some were harsh to read, but I had to. I spent the next few hours crying alone in my apartment. For a very long time, I've avoided the idea of snooping through his phone, but on Thursday night, I did, and I found some very disturbing things. I went through his messages and took relevant screenshots of him talking to his sorority friend, but what I did not expect to find were the things I saw in his Discord. That's why I could not make an update earlier. He mentioned that I'm his girlfriend to her and said that he would leave me if she was up for it. He sent her flowers every Monday of the week since they started talking. Guess what? He's only bought me flowers twice in about a year. I feel so upset, and I probably need therapy to get through this. I no longer feel sad about him and the sorority girl. She can have him. Am I the jerk for ruining my sister-in-law's birthday dinner because she encouraged her kids to pull a prank? My husband and I, 38 female, went to my sister-in-law's house for her birthday. It's quite a long drive, so we drove up the day before and stayed overnight in their spare room. The birthday meal was going to be midday. She has 2 kids who are 4 and 7. Husband and I went in separate cars as we were coming from different workplaces to get there. I'm very short-sighted and literally can't see 1 foot in front of my face without my glasses. Every night I take them off and put them on the nightstand right where I know I can reach them in the morning. Now, apparently, sister-in-law thought it would be a funny prank to get her kids to sneak into my room. I sleep with earplugs in because husband is a loud snorer, and take and hide my glasses. On the morning of her birthday, I couldn't find my glasses on the nightstand. I had to ask my husband to help in case they had fallen off and under the bed or something, but we couldn't find them anywhere. I was really distraught because, as I said, I'm literally almost non-functional without them. Husband helped me down to breakfast, and I explained that I wouldn't be able to take part in the meal today at a nearby restaurant, and I couldn't drive myself home. I was really upset. They're also expensive glasses because I have to get the lens thinned, etc. So about 600 pounds. Sister-in-law let this go on until they were all ready to leave for her birthday lunch. I had not been able to do much all day up to this point because I couldn't see. Then she jokingly said to her kids, "Okay, that's enough, I think. Go get them." And the kids ran off to fetch my glasses from where they had hidden them. She said not to blame them at all. I don't. And it was her idea and just a bit of harmless fun. I put my glasses on, got in my car, said nothing at all, and just drove home. My husband is on my side and has apologized in sister-in-law's behalf, saying that she thought I would see the funny side. He's very apologetic and offered to skip her birthday meal as well and come home. But he's the one being apologetic, not her. I've had nothing from sister-in-law except an angry WhatsApp message to the group. Not directly to me, but to the family group, saying that her birthday had been ruined because someone couldn't take a joke. Apparently, after I left, she had a meltdown about how the day was ruined because I drove off and the kids are upset. It's genuinely distressing for me to not be able to see, but I see how she might have been able to think it was funny to get her kids to do this. Am I the jerk? Edit. I feel bad that the kids think that they're the reason I was upset or what they did was wrong. Extra edit to say this is the main reason I feel like the jerk for this. My reaction of just walking out didn't give the kids any explanation, so they think they did something wrong. Which they did, to be fair, but with encouragement. Not the jerk. I don't see how this prank is supposed to be funny, but maybe if she let this go on for 10 minutes, some would see the humor in it. But to let it go on for seemingly hours is ridiculous. And then to top it off, she didn't even apologize. It also seems strange to get the kids involved. If it was their idea, it would be one thing, but she recruited them to play a prank that wasn't even funny. This is a case of play stupid games, win stupid prizes. OP. She still seems to feel it was amusing for me to stumble around all morning, also in a panic. And yes, you're correct, it was for hours. We got up at 8 a.m., lunch was scheduled for 2 p.m. I stumbled around trying to find my glasses for about 5 hours before she told the kids to go get them. OP, are you sure your husband wasn't in on the prank? I mean, it was pretty obvious someone stole your glasses when they were not quickly found in the room where you left them. My husband would have torn sister-in-law's house apart looking for my glasses rather than letting me sit there blind and incapacitated for 6 hours. Maybe that has something to do with why he is apologizing and not her. Am I the jerk for not accepting and returning the birthday present my half-sister gave my son? I'm 27, female. My parents got divorced when my brother and I were around 6 because dad had a mistress and another kid, our half-sister who's 25. On the day my parents finalized their divorce and my dad received full custody, both she and her mom came to live with us. Suffice to say, we didn't like either of them. When she was a kid, she didn't understand why we didn't want to spend time together, and she would complain to our dad about us, and then he would punish us. This added to our hatred. Growing up, she was his precious child, and he would celebrate her birthdays and her milestones while ignoring ours. He always catered to her wants and desires, but never bothered to learn about ours. Any of her wrongdoings would be easily forgiven, but if my brother and I made any mistakes, like dropping the TV remote, he'd flip out on us. Despite belonging to a wealthy family, my brother and I struggled financially, and we couldn't even apply for scholarships. After all this and more, when we became mature enough, we moved away and had no contact with any of them. I thought that we'd never meet again, or so I thought. Unfortunately, the universe played me a fool, and I met her at my in-laws' family's dinner. She was currently dating my husband's brother, and he brought her over to introduce her to his family for the first time. I was in disbelief, and I wanted to ignore her, but she saw me and happily had a reunion with me. She told them that we were friends. Fast forward to the present day. They're now engaged. I have a 1-year-old son, and except for my husband and his brother, no one from their family knows that we are half-sisters. Recently, we celebrated our son's birthday, and we held a small party with just our friends and family. Brother-in-law came to the party, she didn't, but when we were going through the presents my son received, I saw a gift with her name on it. It was addressed as Aunt Blank to my son, and it made me feel uncomfortable. I told my husband that I'd return it and I don't want anything from her in my son's life. He was reluctant, but he supported me, so I did. Later, when she received the return package, she called me and asked why, and I told her my reasons. She said that I was being immature by denying a gift meant for someone else, and she gave it to him as his uncle's fiancé. While my husband agrees that I shouldn't have returned the gift given in goodwill, I haven't done anything wrong. But according to my brother, I'm being a jerk to someone who has respected my wishes and remained distant. Am I the jerk for returning her present? Not the jerk, but you really should sit down with her and work out how things are going to go. Like it or not, she's part of your family now. So, I didn't read anything that she did to deserve this behavior from you. I have a half-sister, and she's my mother's golden child. I've watched this kid go on trips all around the world, get her wants and needs met, etc. And do I hate her or treat her differently? No. It's my mother's doing, not my sister's. And even though I have a little bit of jealousy and I think it's unfair, do I then treat my sister in a bad manner? I don't. Even though a part of me grieves for the younger version of me, I'm thankful that my sister gets to do things I didn't because she's family. You need to take a hard look at yourself and be mad at your dad. You're mad at the wrong person. I mean this in a nice way. You need to grow up. Carrying all that bitterness around is going to come back to you tenfold. Everything you mentioned were things that your dad did, and you didn't mention anything that she did to make your life a problem. Did she actually do anything besides being born? If your half-sister gets married to your brother-in-law, she will be in your life in some way no matter what. She's going to be part of your extended family. Your actions are going to create problems for your husband and extended family. You're going to create rifts between you and your husband's side, and this isn't smart. You're the jerk. My fiancé has invited his best friend on his family vacation instead of me. I'm really struggling with trying to understand the situation, and I would appreciate some insight outside of my immediate friends and family. Just for some backstory, I met my fiancé, we'll call him D, at the tail end of my freshman year in college. We were friends for a couple of months before finally admitting that we had feelings for each other, and we've been inseparable ever since. He's known his girl best friend, S, since his early years of high school. D introduced me to S early on in the relationship, as she has also attended the same university as us. I always trusted D, so I never had a problem with their friendship. I have platonic male friends that I still keep in close contact with, so having an issue with it would be hypocritical in my eyes. I even developed a friendship with S over the years of us knowing each other, so getting to understand her on a personal level has also made me feel more secure in their closeness. I got engaged to D this summer after years of dating, and I personally believed we had a wonderful and deep love. We typically have very healthy communication, and even if we do not see eye to eye on things, we tend to come to a good middle ground eventually. Fast forward to now. His family typically does a vacation every spring break. The past few years, I have not been invited because only close friends or spouses are allowed to join in. Now, I admittedly have felt a tad bit hurt by this in the past, but I always let it go because it's not my family vacation, and I assumed he had no say in who could attend, unless they met the requirements. So, you can probably imagine how excited I was, thinking that perhaps I could tag along this year, to spend some time getting to know his family much better and getting to spend some extra time with him that isn't in the apartment or the city we live in. Friday night, when he came home from work, he started to casually bring up how his family picked a certain beautiful East Coast beach as their destination for this year's family vacation, which, by the way, got me so excited because I thought he was working his way into inviting me. Rather, though, he mentioned that this year he was bringing S along to his family vacation. I think he could see the confusion and devastation on my face because he immediately started saying that he wanted to bring me, but his family has known S for much longer than they've known me, and that they love her, so they don't mind paying for her to go on vacation with them. S has also had a tough year with her grandfather passing, so he wants to take her on a trip to make her feel better and get her mind off of things. I was genuinely so shocked and so hurt that I excused myself to the bedroom, locked the door, and sobbed my eyes out. The next morning, D came and spoke to me, saying he was sorry, but that this vacation probably won't be that fun anyways, since his teen cousins are coming too, and that he would make it up to me by taking me out on a weekend trip sometime during the summer. I tried to explain to him that it hurts me that he's putting another woman above me, his fiancée, even if it's for a not fun family vacation. I've never been able to attend one of them before, and finally, just when I think I'm about to be included, I'm not. The vacation will be a week long, and I'm already starting to feel insecure that he has picked another woman to go on a tropical family vacation with. I truly can understand how he wants to be a good friend and be there for his best friend while she's grieving a loss, but also at the same time, I could never imagine inviting one of my guy friends on a family vacation over my fiancé. It perplexes me, I suppose. I'm so confused on what to do or how to handle this situation. I want to respect his decision, because I can appreciate that he can love and cherish another woman platonically, but at the same time, I feel so betrayed that while he is on his family vacation with another woman, I will presumably be sitting at home feeling left out. I've also been battling the urge to look through his messages with her. I don't want to invade his privacy, but I can't help but begin to think that if you invite another woman on a vacation with you, there's probably more than just friendship in the pot. I don't really know how to bring any of this up to him without sounding like I'm jealous or clingy, and quite frankly, I'm not even sure if I should be upset. Should I be concerned that he invited her over me, or do y'all think I'm overreacting? Oh no, this would be an absolute deal breaker for me. You're his fiancé. You are part of the family. If his family does not accept you, then that's a problem he needs to address, not just switch you out for someone that they like more. How are they going to get to know you if you're not invited to things that would actually help them get to know you? If he wanted to invite both of you because she's had a hard time, then fine. She can come along as a family friend, but you should not be excluded. By saying you are not invited to a family vacation but she is, he's being very clear that you are not family but she is. You are not his family. I couldn't continue knowing that. To me, the problem is less that she's going, it's the fact that you've never been invited at all, and I'm assuming you've been together for at least 2 years. It's not really a family vacation if they want to invite anyone they deem a close friend. The problem is, 1, your partner's parents do not want you there, and 2, your partner is okay with that, even after you've gotten engaged. Obviously, it's one thing to expect them to pay for you to go, but you aren't invited, period. I'd look at his texts with her. It's extremely strange that he's not putting his foot down with his family about bringing you instead of her. I would also rethink getting married to someone who puts their friends before you. I have more guy friends for whatever reason. I've always gotten along with them better, but I would have never done this to my husband. My son said something to my babysitter, and it emotionally destroyed me. I, 26 female, am raising 2 kids all on my own. My kids are fed, clothed, clean, they go to daycare and have everything that they need. But my babysitter told me something that has really dragged me down. I work full-time, clean, cook, grocery shop, take care of the kids, etc., all on my own. I have no time for myself, and what little time I do have, I try to spend it with the kids. However, lately I've been very worn down. By the time I get my kids from their after-daycare babysitter at 5 p.m., I'm already mentally drained. Then, as soon as I step foot into my apartment, I have to start getting the kids ready for dinner, then bed if I want them to wake up refreshed for the day. I wake up to them fighting over everything. Toys, blankets, my phone, everything. I have to change their diapers, brush their teeth, feed them breakfast, and then get them on the bus by 7:45 a.m. From there, I have 45 minutes to pick up the house, get dressed, eat something, enjoy a cup of coffee, then go straight to work. I spend all day at work being yelled at by ungrateful people over $5 fees when they have over $500,000 in their accounts. Go home and do the same thing all over again. My son, who's 4, has been asking me to read to him a lot, but by the time I sit down, I'm so tired from my day, I can't keep my eyes open. I can tell this disappoints him, and it hurts me every time I tell him no. But I'm only one person, and I can only do so much. My kids constantly hang on to me, grabbing at my arms, legs, hair, and feet. They're always asking me for things they know how to do on their own, like getting a toy 2 inches from their hand. My daughter, who's 2, is always crying. You can look at her and she cries. It's like nails on a chalkboard. I love my kids and I would do anything for them, but I'm tired. I have no help. My mom is sick and doesn't help much even when she's feeling well. My dad just drinks too much and is no help at all. My son's father lives in Texas and only recently started talking to me again. However, it's almost never about his son. My daughter's father, anytime I try to reach out to him, it's all about his problems and how bad things have gotten for him. I have my daughter's side of the family, but I don't want to ask too much of them. They all have their own lives and can get stressed out if I ask too much of them. The other day, my babysitter told me that my son wishes I would read more to him. It's torn my heart out to know how I'm making him feel that way. And my daughter, although she can't express it yet, how I know the disappointment she feels when I ask her to stop grabbing me and to give me some space. I feel like a failure to my kids. Every day I wake up knowing what the day brings and knowing that by the end of it, I'll be crying myself to sleep knowing I didn't do enough. Knowing I didn't have the time once again to read to my babies. Knowing I was too physically uncomfortable being grabbed at the moment by them because they want to cuddle. Knowing that every time my daughter cries, I want to cry myself because of how overwhelmed I feel. I don't know what to do. There's just not enough time in the day for everything, and I know my kids are the ones suffering for it. You are anything besides a failure. You're balancing everything pretty well. You're providing for both of your kids, and they're fed and clean and sheltered. If anything, you're doing everything a good parent does. I know you want to be able to read to your son, but you have a lot going on. Do you get any days off? Maybe you could read to your son then. He might not understand it now, but he will, and so will your daughter one day. Keep your head up. This difficult time will not last forever. You're doing a great job, and one day your kids will see that clearly. Please do try to be kind to yourself. You're doing the best you can. Take care. I hope things work out for you, but this is why having 2 kids with 2 different men you're not married to is not a good idea. I waited until I was 28 years old and married to a good man before we started having babies. We are a traditional family. I don't go through any of these issues you're describing because I made the right choices. It is not okay to bring kids into the world with the wrong people and when they won't grow up with a good family. I hope and pray that more people start waiting until they marry a good spouse to have kids with. But unfortunately, that's not the cool thing to do these days. And instead, they just want to have fun with the wrong kinds of people who you will not be able to count on. I met my husband at church, and he's been such an amazing man. Is he a 6'2" bad boy with a motorcycle and tattoos? No, absolutely not. But he is everything I could want and more. Please stop having kids with the wrong people. If you're not worth marrying to him, he won't make a good father, and you're setting yourself up for a life of struggle. Grumpy father-in-law gets more mugs than he can handle. Background: I'm 32, female. My father-in-law, who's 67, is a stereotypical grumpy old man. My husband, who's 33, says that his father wasn't always like this, but the years have turned him sour. My father-in-law is always complaining about something, constantly going on political tangents, always inserting his opinion even if he isn't involved in the conversation, and constantly whining that my husband and I never make time for him despite having him over for dinner every other week. My husband tolerates but doesn't entertain his grumpiness. I handle it like I would an incoherent toddler and just reply, "Wow, what an interesting thing to say," and then move along the conversation as if he weren't there. Recently, my husband and I completely reorganized our kitchen. As most people do, we had far too many coffee mugs. We decided to get rid of half of them, about 17, so we put them in a box and set them aside to be donated. That evening, father-in-law came over for dinner and noticed the box of mugs by the front door. When he asked about it, we just said we had too many and needed to get rid of some. He immediately started rambling about how wasteful our generation was, how we use something for 30 seconds and then throw it away, how his generation would always use an item until it fell apart and then they would mend the item and keep on using it. He finished it off by saying someone his age would never consider discarding perfectly good items like that. I just responded with, "Okay," and continued on getting dinner ready without addressing it further. Well, this last weekend, we had our Christmas celebration with my father's family. We celebrated early due to multiple family members going out of state for Christmas. We enjoyed our evening despite a few grumblings from my father-in-law. Toward the end of the night, we all exchanged gifts. That was when my father-in-law opened a big box of 17 used coffee mugs. He looked at my husband with a confused look on his face, so my husband said, "You were so vocal that we shouldn't get rid of perfectly good mugs, so we decided to gift them to you since you clearly wanted them." My father-in-law started making excuses about how he didn't need that many and how he already has mugs and doesn't have the space to keep them. My husband just shrugged and said, "I'm sure you'll find something to do with them. Your generation is very resourceful." It's only been 2 days since he got his new coffee mug collection, but he's called my husband and me 7 times trying to convince us to take them back. All I've said was, "It would be wasteful for us to take them back. Thank you so much for saving the perfectly good mugs." Karen boss scams the company, gets what she deserves. I, 30s female, have been a people pleaser to a fault my whole life. I've been working in marketing for over 10 years now. Over these years, I've had my fair share of bosses who were good, average, and some who really sucked. This one in particular stood out as awful. This story's from about 5 years ago. Pamela, in her 40s, not her real name, was the VP of marketing and sales for a mid-sized retailer. She started at the company a few years after I did, and if rumors were true, she was the fourth pick for the position and was simply hired so the company could appease the shareholders. I was a manager under her, and my whole job was to make sure the website and stores had their products merchandised properly, received all their monthly sales materials, managed advertising, set up and managed the department's budget, PM'd all department projects and operations, created reports to reflect sales, managed presentations, creative briefs for future projects, etc. In short, I did her work and all of the administrative grunt work to keep the department afloat. I managed all this because I had access to her email and many times sent emails on her behalf to keep the department functioning. Pamela spent most of her time showing up after 10 a.m., taking business lunches, and planning company parties. I don't even know why we did those, but I planned those too. I consistently questioned why she spent so much of our budget on these events when we didn't have the budget resources for any of it. Pamela told me to take from future months' budgets to pay for the current month's overspending. So at the start of every month, I had an original budget, and by the end of the month, I had to turn in an edited budget, edited under Pamela's direction, that made it look like Pamela's spending was under control. This is important for later. I definitely made mistakes here and there, being in charge of so many tasks, and constantly found myself working 12-hour days, split between being in the office and working after my kid went to bed. Weekend work was also done before my family woke up and after they went to bed. During Pamela's first major holiday season, sales were crap. Pamela kept changing her mind on the visuals for the stores, kept bringing on new advertising and PR agencies to bring in sales. All these agencies consisted of her personal friends and ignored our buying and merchandise team's planned promotions for her own better ones. At this time, I had been dealing with an ongoing infection that turned to sepsis and was hospitalized. The doctors and my husband said it was due to the stress from work and that I needed to take a break. As I recovered, I realized how much I was hurting myself, my family, and even the company I worked for. Eventually, my old habits got to me, and I got on my phone and checked mine and my boss's emails. What I found made my blood boil. First, I got a lovely bouquet of flowers from upper management wishing me well, and I knew that Pamela organized the delivery. She sent me her favorite flowers. I went to her inbox to put the receipt in the correct folder to send to accounting when I got back. At the top of her inbox from the past 3 days were emails clearly not related to business. What I found in her emails was Pamela emailing her personal friends griping on how I can't just shake off sepsis and get back to work. She also complained that she couldn't find any of my notes, spreadsheets, or documents for any of the work she was technically in charge of. They were on our shared drive labeled very clearly. Finally, I found an email where she sent a friend from a previous company asking for advice on how to bring in sales and save her job. In the long thread, this old colleague asked if there was anyone managing most of the work, and of course, Pamela said I was. This colleague explained that clearly it was my mismanagement that was causing issues and that I could be blamed if sales didn't pull through by the end of the season. Pamela mentioned that I was in the hospital and repeated comments from her other email thread. This person said that she couldn't outright fire me because it could seem like retaliation because I needed to take emergency medical leave. But if Pamela could prove I was stealing from the company or misusing company resources, then she would have grounds to fire me and use me as a scapegoat. Upon my return, Pamela called me into her office and said she was worried I was taking on too much and wanted to take work off my plate. She announced she was taking managing the department budget off my plate. She asked me to only drop a small stack of invoices to accounting. Additionally, Pamela told me under no circumstances was I allowed to talk to accounting about anything regarding budgets. Also, if I had any concerns about the department or workload, I wasn't allowed to go to HR. I had to discuss it directly with Pamela. Oh yeah, I could see where this was going. Unfortunately for Pamela, I had built good rapport with Lois, who was in her 50s, not her real name, who was our main accountant. Lois always said that she would do anything in her power to help me should I ask. Knowing this, I grabbed a stack of invoices off Pamela's desk to give to accounting. I also added the email threads I read while I was in the hospital and the current unedited budget that Pamela hadn't touched yet for months. I also found in my filing cabinet the hard copies of old budgets with Pamela's handwriting on what numbers to change to balance our budget. Finally, I added an email from our first round of budget adjustments where Pamela had threatened to put someone else in my job if I couldn't do what she asked. So I walked and dropped off the invoices to accounting when I bumped into Lois. She brought up invoices, and I sternly looked at her and said Pamela is the only one in our department that Lois is allowed to talk to about our budget and invoices. Lois saw the suspiciously thick file folder on her desk, gave a firm nod, and lovingly kicked me out of her office. Within the week, Pamela was fired. From what I understand, she's been continually job hopping for the past few years. The CEO and HR brought me in to personally apologize for everything I went through and gave me a paid 1-week vacation to take at my discretion. Given other issues with the business, I left after another year. Which brings me to today. I am, once again, a manager for sales and marketing. I have a wonderful boss, Mike, who's in his 40s, who trusts my business decisions and backs me up on practically everything. We're hiring my team for me to solely manage and direct. Today, I looked through the applicants and found Pamela's resume sitting among dozens of others. I stared at her name, wondering how many other people share her name. Upon review, yup, it's her. She definitely fell down the corporate ladder, with VP of our old company being the highest title she earned. And to no surprise, she embellished her achievements, claiming the work I managed as her own, and claimed she generated 87% sales growth during the holiday season at our previous company. As a people pleaser who firmly believes in giving everyone a chance, it has never been so satisfying to click disqualified. Edit. To those suggesting I interview her to see her reaction, I would have loved to see her face as she walked in. But I felt it would have risked my boss's trust in my decision-making ability. Maybe I'll send a personally written rejection email. You are clearly too nice. I would have definitely called HR to arrange an interview, assuming you would be sitting across from her. There's nothing more satisfying than seeing the face of someone like that when they see karma staring them in their face. I'm losing my marriage to my wife's hobby. Is there a fair compromise that won't make us resent each other? As of last night, it looks like my marriage is headed towards a divorce, largely in part due to my wife's hobby of running. As a background, we've been married for 11 years and we have 2 kids who are under the age of 10. When we met years ago, my main hobbies were yoga and casually participating in triathlons. My wife enjoyed fitness activities at the time, but didn't do anything in particular. Over time, she started to get involved in both yoga and triathlons so that we could spend time together doing it. This morphed here and there as we got married and had kids, and time marched on, but we were always doing something. When my wife became pregnant with our second, she decided that she liked yoga so much that she would like to pursue being an instructor. This was time-intensive and costly, but we did it. After our second was born, she left her office job to be a stay-at-home mom and to start teaching yoga on the side. She loved this so much, she decided she wanted to do fitness full-time when the kids were both in school. So in preparation, she picked up multiple other certifications to teach many different things, including personal training. As our kids got older, she started teaching more and more, but quickly realized that this was taking a toll on her body and burning her out. It just wasn't possible to do this full-time for her. It was about this time, 4 years ago, that she thought maybe it was just the wrong fitness path and maybe she should pursue running coaching. I supported this as we were both running together at that time and doing small races. At this point, she's teaching multiple types of fitness classes and working on her running certification. She also starts putting significant effort into her personal running. She started preparing for her first marathon when lockdown hit. Instead of backing off the training since there were no races, she decided to stay in marathon shape just in case. For 2 years, she spent significant time every week on running, which I fully supported, although I thought that level of training, with no down season, was not a great idea. During this time, she started running with different groups and got to know many of the local runners. Eventually, lockdown ends and she can do her first marathon. She's hooked. Our kids are now in school full-time as well. Through her relationships, she gets offered a part-time job doing small running programs for a local store. This new job paid just over $3,000 in 2022, and that was before tax was taken out. In exchange for this, she gives up 2 to 3 weeknights and 1 weekend morning. In addition, she has not stopped being in full marathon training mode since she started. Between personal running and her running groups, she spends a little over 20 hours a week on running. Around 8 months ago, she decides she's fully burnt out on her other endeavors and quits teaching classes entirely. That's the background, and now onto the issue. In order to fit this all in and to run with her personal running buddies, even though she's home during the day when the kids are in school, she has moved her schedule. Most days of the week, she gets up at 4 a.m. to do her runs. This is when her friends meet. In her mind, this is her getting her running in when it doesn't impact me or the family. The problem is that all she has done is shift waking hours. My day with her is essentially waking up and getting the kids ready for school while I get ready for work. She'll get home in the middle of this and I will leave for work. I get home and either we eat dinner, have a kids' sport event, or she leaves for a training group. On a good day, I'll have 2 hours with her until she's asleep just after the kids around 8. On a bad day, she walks in the door around 8 and falls asleep. I then sit alone in the living room for a few hours before I head to bed. The next day, the whole thing starts over again. Around 3 months ago, things got even more complicated. She decided that $3,000 a year was not enough for her to contribute financially, and fitness just wasn't going to be a full-time career. She decided to get a full-time office job. This was a difficult and emotional decision for her as she felt she was giving up on what she was passionate about. Now the day looks the same, except she's working during the day and then running out the door to go to her running groups, which is now called a hobby. She's fully unable to step away from this. Unless it's a fully scheduled off day, she will not miss running. If we're on a family vacation, she's going to find a way to get a run in every day. I've become so unbearably lonely. I work a high-stress job that pays well but is always weighing on me in some way. I feel that I'm a pretty good husband. I'm involved with the kids, I help with their school projects, and I take them to their sporting events. I practice with them in the yard all the time. I do at least my fair share of the housework, including dishes and laundry and other cleaning. I take care of myself physically by working out on my lunch hour, so I don't have to take more time for my family. I just have no relationship with my wife since she's always gone or sleeping. This has been an ongoing discussion for months now. I've expressed to her how lonely I am. I've told her that I don't need much, but I do need some affection from her. I would love to just sit on the couch and cuddle and watch a movie sometime. I've expressed my needs directly and multiple times, but nothing has changed. This all came to a head since last weekend. It started with a rare date night. She ran a race Saturday morning, so I spent the morning with the kids getting the house cleaned, yard mowed, and everything taken care of. I had coordinated to have a sitter watch the kids and made dinner reservations. The night went well, but when we got home at around 8:30, she fell asleep right away without saying a word to me. Later, while talking about a family vacation this year, she let me know that she's been planning 2 destination marathons in early spring. I had heard her mention that she was wishing she could do one of them, but due to timing, I cannot go with her since the kids are in school. I thought this meant it was still a discussion. One of these will cost thousands of dollars to attend. She has made up her mind that she's going to both of them since one is for a Boston qualifier and the other was offered for free. She didn't want to tell me about these since she thought it would upset me, although she claimed she dropped hints. Since she has a new job, this will take nearly all of her time off and we will not be able to have a family vacation. She's not willing to miss either of these. To top it off, she then told me that she will be gone on our anniversary in 2 weeks because she was invited to be a pacer for a race coming up and was offered a free hotel to do it. She's never done this before and is excited to try it. She claims she hasn't committed to this already and is still deciding, but I'm pretty sure she already said yes and just hasn't told me yet. I was very hurt by this since I already feel like I'm a much lower priority than running to her. This all broke me. I dumped and told her how this made me feel. There were tears on both sides. She claims that she feels like I'm always mad at her and I'm not supportive of her and she has to keep her running life from me. This is what leads to the lack of affection. I explained my feelings and reiterated how lonely I am. I asked her if she would be willing to find a compromise and maybe focus on shorter races, and she told me no, that if I made her do that, she would resent me, and this is what makes her happy. I asked if she would try couples therapy, and while open, there isn't a time that would work based on her new job. There was one small win where I asked if I hypothetically asked her to take 1 week off from running, would she be able to do it? She said no. She would be mad if I asked and unable to actually do it anyway. Upon saying this, she said that it makes it sound like she's addicted to running. I don't believe that's wrong. She has said that she will consider individual therapy, but we'll see if she does that. For my part, I came into work and scheduled a psychologist appointment for tomorrow. It's virtual, but I'll see if it helps me work through this on my end. I do want to say I'm proud of her and she's doing amazing. She's now at a level where she wins races, or at the very least her age group, but it has come at such a huge cost. I love her, but don't know how much longer I can reasonably keep this up. I'm sure I come across as an unsupportive monster, and this is all one-sided. I've seen how the running community rallies around itself, and I'm somewhat worried I'll get torn apart on that level as well. I'm just so lonely. I miss my wife. I don't think she's willing to compromise. The way you explain it, she's absolutely obsessed with this, and she's willing to lose her family over it. When you ask her to compromise, she threatens resentment. This is no longer a hobby, this is a straight unhealthy obsession. There's nothing wrong with having something that doesn't include your spouse or your kids, but to this degree of time sucks. I don't understand how she doesn't see it as neglectful towards her family relationships. OP. I think it's an obsession as well. She doesn't see it that way though. To her, it's pursuing something she's good at and has made a lot of friends doing. She claims that she would be going to bed early even if she wasn't running, but that's not how things used to be. There's plenty of people that have running obsessions but still manage to be engaged partners. She should arrange her running around her life, not her life around her running. That means compromises, like getting her run in when it's most convenient for the family. Maybe her lunch break, not necessarily when the running group meets. I'm an ultra runner, so I run races in the 30 to 100 mile range, and I spend way more time with my partner than your wife seems to with you. Also, every runner should be fine with taking a week off running. A week is not going to meaningfully affect your fitness, and the fact that she can't take a week off shows that she's currently deeply in the unhealthy running mindset. Most people in that frame of mind are so hyper-focused that they're unable to be reasonable, and they either burn out or get injured. Ultimately, you can't force her to see reason in this, so you need to think about what you want and how much you're willing to put up with. Deciding to use almost all of her vacation time on races instead of with the family shows you that she's operating from a very selfish, single-person mindset right now. She's making decisions for herself without considering you or your family. She said running less would make her unhappy, but she's fine with you being unhappy like you are now. Time to think about what's going to make you happy, since no one else is. Unpopular opinion, but leave her, OP. This is no different than when a husband is obsessed with video games instead of his family. Once you have a family of your own, it's time to make them the top priority, not running, skiing, biking, or any other hobby people have. She's made it clear that her little jogs will always be more important than your family is to her, so it's time to do what you know you need to do. I'd be petty and tell her, since running is so important to you, I've decided to find a few hobbies of my own that I've been doing, and one of them looks like a supermodel. My Karen neighbor steals my package and really regrets it. I, 30 female, am a hobbyist, and as such, I order additions to my collection that are delivered via post or courier. Now, my entitled neighbor, 28 female, moved into her house roughly 3 months ago with her 9-year-old son. I was close friends with the people who lived there previously, and I had them listed as trusted neighbors to deliver my packages to if I'm not home. Since she moved in, I have changed that with the post services, but unfortunately, there are a few of the delivery people who have not had the information. Sadly, I've had a few parcels delivered to the entitled neighbor, and when I've gone to collect my parcels, she has denied knowledge or has given me an already open package and used the excuse that her son accidentally opened it. So last week I had a delivery coming in with several special and expensive additions to add to my collection and decided to work from home to make sure I received my package. I started work at my usual time of 9 a.m., having double-checked that my doorbell was set to its loudest setting and got on with my work. I have a tendency to get absorbed into my work, so by the time I realized that it was 12:30 p.m. and my package was supposed to have been delivered before then, I started to worry. The first thing I did was check my emails to see if I had been notified of a delay. My heart sank when I saw the message saying that my package had been delivered to my selected neighbor. I left my house and went straight to my neighbor's house to knock on her door. When she opened the door, she gave me a look that said she was definitely not happy to see me. Me. Hi, entitled neighbor. I just had a notification that my package has been delivered here. May I please have it? Karen. There's nothing here. Me. I was emailed by the courier service that they delivered it to your address. My neighbor was obviously getting angry. I just told you there's nothing here for you. Me. Please, can you… Before I could finish the sentence, she slammed the door in my face. I was obviously annoyed and knocked on her door again, and I waited, but she completely ignored me for at least 10 minutes. Feeling frustrated, I went back home and called the courier service, wanting the delivery person to come back and make sure I got my package back. I was on hold for quite a while before I finally got through to someone. Just as I was telling the service operator what was happening, my doorbell rang several times. Then there was repeated loud banging coming from my front door, followed by the bell again. I asked the operator to hold on for a moment while I checked who was at my door. I opened the door, and there was entitled Mom, red-faced, with her son who was crying. Karen. There's a huge spider loose in my house because of you. Yes, I collect tarantulas, true spiders, and lots of other inverts. At first, I was scared that entitled Mom might have hurt my new tarantula, but I couldn't keep my sarcasm out of my voice. Me. Oh, so you did get my package after all. Yes,
And now there's a huge spider in my living room. You need to get it out of my house now.
Me. One moment. I closed my door and talked to the operator who had heard everything. Since I had already told them what was in the package, they were laughing down the phone. I told them I'd have to go rescue my spider from the crazy Karen. I grabbed a catch cup and a paintbrush from my spider room and opened my front door again. Entitled Mom was still stood there looking furious, and her son was now completely sobbing. Me. Okay, show me where it is. Karen.
I hate you.
I couldn't help but smile as Karen took me into her house and showed me to her living room where my package was on the floor next to a knife that had obviously been used to open it and the container that the new tarantula had been shipped in. Thankfully, the tarantula was simply hiding under her sofa, and I was able to get it to come out with my handy paintbrush and caught it in the catch cup. I put it back into its shipping container, then picked up my package.
Me.
Got her. Karen.
Finally. Now get that thing out of my house. It terrified my son, and I'm arachnophobic. Don't you dare get any more of those things.
Me. Excuse me? You're the one that opened my package that was mine even after I came to collect it. Karen looked shocked.
Yes. Well, my son likes to open packages, and I thought it was another one of those gadgets that you get. He loves to play with them.
I laughed as she obviously hadn't realized that she had just admitted to stealing my previous packages. FYI, I work for a company that sends me product prototypes.
Me.
So you have been stealing from me. I swear, if you ever open one of my packages again, I'm getting the police involved and having you charged with theft. Before she could say anything else, I pushed past her and I went back home. Thankfully, the tarantula was unharmed and was happily settled into her new enclosure. Since then, I've contacted every courier service in my area and demanded that they never leave anything at her address again. There has been one incident where a package from work was delivered to her, but as soon as I knocked on her door, she just handed me the unopened box and closed the door in my face, much to her son's disappointment if his yelling was anything to go by. Moral of the story, don't open someone else's package. It just might contain giant spiders. I lost $100,000 in 4 weeks. Need advice. I'm 36 and not in debt other than my mortgage. I have an 8-month-old daughter and I'm really scared. I've been gambling somewhat randomly since college. I'm well over $300,000 now in losses, most of which was my money, and now $100,000 just in the last 4 weeks. And every time I went back, it was to recover from the day before, but the numbers kept adding up. My wife doesn't know a thing. The money is mine, $100,000 gifted by my dad, who is completely against even wasting a dollar, and who put his trust in me to use it wisely for family, success, and paying down my mortgage. I'm a terrible son. I feel shame and regret to even look him in the eye, knowing what I've done in a matter of weeks took many years for him to make. I still feel I need to go back to get it back. My wife doesn't know yet. Key word. It'll be a very ugly conversation when she finds out. Maybe even walk out on me. Who knows? That kind of money isn't easy to hide, right? I feel depressed, broken, failure. I just want this $100,000 back, and it's too much to lose. A $10,000 loss turned into $15,000, and then plus $7,500, and just downhill from there. Lost all $22,500 and kept going back, losing $10,000 to $15,000 per day at times. What should I do? Talk to my wife? She'll lose it. And if my dad finds out, I'm afraid he won't be able to take it, and I'll be the reason for what happens to him. I'm such a bad son. Update. Something took over me. I can't explain it because I don't know myself what happened. Losing money is evil. It will make you do things out of control. The fight to recover losses kept turning into a losing battle over and over again. So here I am, rock bottom. In just 2 months, I've lost everything in my bank account, $170,000, and also took out $10,000 from credit cards and another $10,000 from personal line of credit. So I'm officially in a gambling debt of $20,000. Now it's a total of $190,000, and it's a harsh reality. What does it feel like? Butterflies in your stomach. The earth just slipped from under your feet, and you feel light, but there's a weight pushing you down. Disbelief because the gambling mind cannot accept what happened, but then reality kicks in because the bank is proof. Shame, disgust, frown, but pretending to smile. Wife doesn't know yet of my situation, so I'm lying to my partner. My 9-month-old daughter, whom I now feel like I've ruined a comfortable life for alongside my wife. I first posted when I had lost $100,000 and everyone told me to stop and tell the truth. I continued to go back over and over because I could not accept it. Bottom line, accept it now, or you're going to be where I am. Now over $500,000 in losses, out of which $190,000 is very recent. Update. Life feels depressing. I love playing with my daughter, and every time I look at her, the thought crosses my mind. Why did I blow my money at the casino when I should have been using it for her future? College, car, real estate, necessities, the list goes on. Have not told my wife yet, nor has she poked into the bank account that would show nothing but withdrawals in the thousands for the last 2.5 months. Losing strength, stress is getting to me. I picked up debt to gamble and I lost everything. Casinos are temporarily shut down effective today, so good thing that I can't go to do it again. I need to tell my wife, but I don't have the courage because I can't explain how I didn't learn my lesson and ended up losing $200,000. I don't know if she'll understand, and I'm afraid of the shame this brings once everyone in the family finds out. My self-esteem is gone. I'm a wreck and I'm stressed to no end. Update. Game over. I kept going back to recover big losses, and now I'm sitting here after literally 4 months exactly. $200,000 missing, $75,000 in debt between credit card and line of credit. Barely any money left except to survive. I have a family who doesn't know any of this. I haven't told my significant other, and she's on a trip with my young one. I thought I could take the opportunity to go back to the casino to recover, but that just didn't happen. Instead, I found myself pulling money from my creditors just to gamble and lose it all again. I know my performance at work has been affected. I'm a completely different person physically in the mirror, and the stress has taken that smile and brightness. I'm so sick of this, and I'm going to get better. This is day 1, and I have a plan. 1. Use a HELOC to pay off the expensive debt. 2. Refinance the home for $100,000 when the mortgage is up for renewal in August, and pay off the HELOC. 3. Tell my wife and hope that she can support my recovery instead of walking away. The news, I understand, will be a lot to stomach. 4. Get healthy and back in shape. 5. Cut down on spending and going out to eat. 6. Find a side hustle and a part-time job. And 7. Attend meetings if I can to help me with my problem. I wish I could reverse the last 4 months. I can't, so now I'll spend the next decade trying to recover. My life is a wreck, and I can't do this anymore. Update. I did it again. Can't stop thinking of my wife and my family whom I let down. They don't have a clue as to what I've done. I gambled away my own money and some inheritance. I picked up $70,000 in debt, and I dipped into my wife's account, and I took another $50,000. I'm now walking out of this miserable place, the casino, that has taken everything from me mentally and financially in the last 6 months. $325,000 lost, and the same amount in prior years. I'm $600,000 plus in losses, and there is only one way to stop. I have in my hand a win today, willpower, backed up by a self-exclusion from banning indefinitely. Now the truth must be told to my wife, and I need to protect my family from me. I don't know if I will have a family should my wife not be supportive, but at least I've done what I never thought I would do. Update. It's done. She knows. It came out over the phone because I was at work. Bawled out like crazy. Said sorry she's upset and not responding to texts now, giving her some space. If I go home, either she's there or gone, who knows. Work sucks right now. I want to get out ASAP, but I can't yet. It will be a hectic night, maybe a limited conversation if there is one. I finally got this off my chest, and although nervous, I feel good because it was slowly getting to me with depression and horrible thoughts. Update. Ultimate rock bottom is not money lost, it's trust. For those of you that are single, you still lose trust. My wife, who I don't blame, has opened up to her family and to mine. I feel humiliated, regretful, wish this had never happened, but I also think it's for the better and recovery. Time will heal, but the healing has to start. For those who have yet to share with family about your problems, do so. It's hard at first, stress level really rises in the moment, but in the end, it is what it is, consequences of actions. I choose to be a better person, finally rid myself of this problem and all others that caused pain to my loved ones. The years of respect I earned, lost. I feel terrible, but I deserve this. Going to move on now and put this past behind me. News will spread like wildfire and humiliation will continue. In the end, it is what it is, as there's no rewinding time, but changing the future. Good luck.
I'm proud to own my mistakes, and for me, that's a huge win. January 24th. So much for the ban. Urged to reinstate, and I did. I won $40,000 from just $3,000. Put it all back, plus 30,000 gradual losses of 5 to 6,000 after putting back 20,000 the next day. $30,000 debt. No way to repay. All the finances are now handled by my wife. What do I do? Last time was a family crisis. Now I have no choice but to turn to my parents again and say bail me out one last time. The problem is the last time I should have learned my lesson. I really don't know what to do. I can't tell anyone about this or else I'm doomed and I will really hurt my loved ones. If this comes out however it may, I'm definitely getting divorced. I got a wife and kid who I don't want to lose. I want to tell my parents that I had this loan from the last event that turned my whole life upside down, but I fear this will put them through heck and back, knowing they can't trust me. I make good money, but I can't use it now that my partner controls the finances. February 5th. I did it again, and now I've got another $40,000 debt, and no way to repay considering the situation I'm in where my partner controls the finances. I can't let anyone know about this or it's going to be a huge problem. I just can't believe I put myself through this again. I don't even have money left from the last round of stupidity. No more access to loans, and I've already borrowed from friends and family. Now I'm sitting with $500 in my account right now, with bills on the way. This sucks, and I just wish that I could end this financial stress. February 27th. I'm struggling to find the courage to tell my spouse that I messed up a second time and how miserable of a husband and father I am. I worked so hard to dump our money into a casino. I already got my ultimatum the last time after massive losses. Here I am again, reliving the past, except this time it's all out of debt. My head is gonna explode, I'm super stressed and I don't know what to do. I kept thinking, what got me started with all of this? I work hard to earn the money, but money doesn't hold great value to me. Why? Well, I think I have an answer. Throughout my younger years, my pops never let me manage my finances. He always checked my accounts, always wanted to be the one to manage, always led me to believe what he got is mine one day. He's not rich, just normal. I never felt in control, and I never learned to manage well because it was just money. But I see young people now are so cautious of their finances. I'm not sure if what I'm thinking is wrong. I really don't want to blame my parents, but I wish if I had had the freedom to manage my earnings and expenses in my younger years, I wouldn't chase easy money. June 17th. Life is in complete turmoil. Unhappy, depressed, mentally messed up, stressed to no end, regret, unfaithfulness with spouse, fake smiles, hidden cries, you name it, because it's by far the worst list. Numb to value of money between four walls of the devil's house. Outside the reality hits hard. Now I'm sitting back thinking, why did I do it? Approaching 40, which gives me the chills. August 5th, just confessed to my wife. I'm heartbroken. Don't know what's going to happen now. I deserve any and all punishment again at this point. I couldn't avoid coming clean because I just couldn't live a double life anymore. I hope I come out stronger for our family. August 18th. Today, I did it for the second time. I feel so humiliated again. I had my family walk out the door, and I'm here all alone. More than money, I lost love and I lost trust. October 14th. Wife left with the kid. Debt in over my head. Completely destroyed myself financially because I'd have to sell my house to repay it. Once again, the house has won and we continue to think that we can beat them. What I don't get is how I let this get to where it is without thinking of the consequences, and to make it worse, I had ample time to dwell on repeat mistakes. I'm a wreck and I just wish that I could make it out on top. Restart at 40, that's where I've ended up. I've actually never been to a casino before, and after reading this story, I'm never gonna go to one.
Me neither, Karen.
Me neither. Am I the jerk for telling my 18-year-old daughter to either sue for child support or get out of my house? I'm 40, female. My 18-year-old daughter, Ava, dropped out of high school after getting pregnant by her then boyfriend, who is 19. Ava will be 19 soon, has no job, and a 10-month-old baby. Her boyfriend, Andrew, moved from Jacksonville, Florida to Miami for college. He never actually broke up with Ava, but instead told her that they were still together and even went as far as to leave a sleeping bag and other toiletries in her room to show her that they were essentially a family. Now he has changed his number and blocked Ava on social media after accusing her of cheating, so this could not be his baby. He ignores all communication offering for him to prove he's not the dad. I've been handling Ava with kid gloves, but here's the situation. I'm a single mom, and Ava is my second child of 3. My older daughter, who's 20, female, lives at home, but works weekends as a barista, and just got a job working 3 hours a week doing QuickBooks for a church, all while studying to be an ultrasound tech. She pays $150 a month in rent, and if she wants new clothes or to go out to eat, that's on her. My youngest son is 10, and it's obviously my responsibility to pay for what my ex's support payments won't cover. However, Ava seems to think that because she technically can qualify as a high school super senior, that she is essentially still a high schooler who can come home and expect that her food, shelter, and new clothes, plus fun expenses are covered, no questions asked. And that the biggest problem with Andrew going silent is the fact that he's a jerk and some college girl has stolen him away. That's not adult thinking, and I'm getting worried that Ava will never get it if I don't spell it out for her. I told her that she either has to show me concrete proof that she's working towards a GED, and then if she passes, some sort of useful certification, in which case I'll let her stay for free, or she needs to get a job. Ask her sister if any restaurants are hiring, if a gym needs a front desk clerk, whatever. She told me she would rather just do high school. I said okay, but either way, employed or not, Andrew is the dad, and just because he's 19 doesn't mean he should get off any easier than a 39-year-old who got his wife pregnant and then left. But Ava got angry, and either Andrew or his siblings got it into her head that if she filed, he would lose his scholarship or be forced out of college, and that the judge would probably say that Andrew cannot make any money in college, so she gets no support. I told her that she does not understand how much diapers and everything else costs, and if she does not file for support, she's about to find out because I'm kicking her out with $100 and that's it. And then if she needs diapers, she can go to the grocery store and see what the total comes to. Am I the jerk? I also printed out flyers about government social programs and taped it to her door. Edit. I'd like to add that my daughter considered not having the baby, but Andrew, whose family is Mormon, said that that was not an option, and that even doing research on the matter would require her to repent. His family is Mormon? The play might be to speak to their church about the upright young man who's abandoning the baby that he fathered out of marriage. That might put more pressure on them to settle. Exactly. I live in a Mormon state, and OMG, if you went to their deacon, I can guarantee you he and his family would be ripped a new one. If they didn't correct the problem, they might even be shunned. I'm in a small town though, so the severity of the consequences will be different, I'm sure. Not the jerk. Your daughter made an adult choice, now she needs to stand up and be an adult. She needs to support her baby one way or another. You aren't, nor should you be a de facto parent for her and her baby daddy. You're offering her very reasonable compromises and solutions here. I'd also have her apply for WIC, food stamps, etc., because once she does, the court will usually, in most states, file for child support for her. It sounds like the father's trying to sweep his responsibilities under the rug and hope that they'll go away. I'm not familiar with the law, but it sounds like your daughter has a good case to claim full custody, which it sounds like she already has, and/or receive child support. The father can't have it both ways. It's not fair for your daughter and you to be solely responsible for the situation that they both equally put themselves in. Your daughter is young, so she may need some guidance. List out what you need her to do, and if they're not met by this date, then she's gotta go. Sounds like the dude's parents may not even know about the baby. You're the jerk. You're considering a plan that escalates too fast. Don't punish her with an eviction for not choosing good decisions. Her baby will just end up being taken from her. Lay out her responsibilities for her and start obligating her to pay for her own kids' expenses. Christmas gift revenge. This was about 23 years ago. My husband was lousy at giving gifts. He would get what he wanted for himself. That year, I came home to a large box wrapped up about 10 days before Christmas, and he said it was for me. He was so excited. Mind you, we've always been pretty broke, so we, or should I say I, always bought for our kids and his greedy family, mother-in-law's demands. We always did without. For some reason, I wasn't that excited about this gift. Intuition. Well, Christmas Eve comes and we open gifts. He gets all excited, telling me that I'm going to love this present. I open the box to find a shop vac. We had hardwood and linoleum, so I always swept and mopped and had no need for it. He told me that this is wonderful because it cleans up the garage, his domain, even picks up water, and he said it worked great because he already tried it before wrapping it up. I was upset. He bought it for himself. I would have been happy with a $5 necklace that turned my neck green. That night, I wouldn't even go to bed with him. He comes into the living room where I was laying down, and he told me to come to bed. I told him I wouldn't because I couldn't look at him. He then tells me how I was extremely selfish because gifts were to be what we as a family could use, not what we want. I laid there all night and plotted my revenge. I had to wait for a year, but like they say, best served cold. I kept quiet and told nobody of my plan for revenge. 50 weeks later, I found it. I wasn't even looking for it, but it was staring right at me, as to say, here I am and it's time. It was in a huge box. I quickly purchased the gift, got some wrapping paper for it, and hid it. I didn't want any sneaky peeks. Christmas Eve, while he was at work, I put the present under the tree. Took 2 rolls of cheap wrapping paper, and I put some ribbons and a bow on it. It also had a nice weight for it. We started opening gifts, and I wait a bit. Finally, his eyes light up seeing this big box and finding out that it was his. He was so excited, and I told him that this is especially bought for him. He opens the box to find a case of toilet paper. I then quoted him, "Christmas was not for what we want, but what we as a family need or could use. We all need toilet paper." He was furious. He complained to his brothers and everyone. My family and his brothers told him that he deserved the toilet paper. To this day, no husband in my family will ever buy a vacuum cleaner for their wives as gifts. Am I the jerk for disinviting my brother-in-law from Christmas because he keeps telling my son to call me by my first name? My husband has 3 brothers. Charlie and Mike are in their 30s, while Spencer is 5 years old. Spencer is their half-brother from their dad's second marriage. Their father passed shortly after Spencer was born. 2 years ago, Spencer's mother went to prison. My husband and I began fostering him. It didn't take long for him to actually feel like our son. As it was, my husband and Spencer didn't have a very brotherly relationship given the 30-year age gap. He already was more of an uncle. 6 months ago, Spencer's mom lost her parental rights. My husband and I have been working on adopting him. It should be finalized after Christmas. Spencer is so excited. He's been calling us Mama and Daddy for a little over a year now. So this is all official, not changing how we feel in our hearts. Charlie and Mike have been supportive of the whole ordeal from the most part, but we faced a road bump recently. When Spencer began calling us Mama and Daddy, Charlie found it odd. He said that we weren't his parents. I said legally, yes we are. I said he doesn't have to be Uncle Charlie if he doesn't want to be, but we are raising him. Charlie said that we're basically erasing their dad from Spencer's life. I said no, we talk about him and Spencer's biological mom often. This won't be a secret. As it is, Spencer is very smart and is aware that he only came to live with us 2 years ago. Mike and my husband have both told Charlie to let it go. I've noticed, however, that when talking to Spencer, he refers to me and my husband by our first names, or he'll say, "Ask your brother," referring to my husband, or "Go show your sister-in-law," when referring to me. Spencer is confused because he knows my husband is his brother, but he doesn't look at him like that. We've tried talking to him about it, but Charlie claimed it's force of habit. We were trying to let it go, but then one day Charlie corrected Spencer when he called me Mama and said, "No, that's Kate." Spencer got confused and said, "No, that's Mama." Charlie told him that I'm not his mother. This only upset Spencer further. I've had enough, frankly. Spencer is our son. We have him in therapy and have also asked Charlie and Mike to attend family therapy with us. Only Mike has agreed. I told my husband that I don't want Charlie at Christmas. We're hosting. If he's just going to upset Spencer and undermine our place as his parents. My husband said it's completely up to me, so I told Charlie either he stops correcting Spencer or he can't come. Now Charlie is mad and says I'm keeping his brothers from him at Christmas. I said if my husband wants, he can go visit him, and if he wants to see Spencer, he can promise to stop undermining my place. Charlie called me dramatic. Mother-in-law wants all of her boys at Christmas and said that I can put up with it for just one day. She said it's hard for her to be around Spencer, but she does it for us, so I can put up with Charlie and see his side. Am I the jerk? Edit. My husband has been advocating for Spencer and does stand up to his family. It's not just me. Who's hosting this Christmas party? You or mother-in-law? If you're hosting OP, then you can make the guest list and ignore any comments from the peanut gallery. If mother-in-law wants to spend time with Charlie, she may certainly do so, but she may do it elsewhere. Charlie needs to learn to keep his mouth shut. What your son calls you is not up to him, and it's none of his business. If Charlie doesn't behave, Charlie can't come to the party. It's that simple. Not the jerk. Am I the jerk for not giving up a table? I took my kids out to the mall the other day. My husband took the car to work, so my brother dropped us off, and my husband was going to pick us up. We were there for a couple of hours, and the kids had loads of fun. But they're 5 and 3 and were exhausted by the time my husband had to pick us up. I was also extremely tired. I ordered them some fries, and then we sat at one of the tables in the food court. After a bit, I gave my eldest my phone to watch something while my younger one was napping in my arms. My husband was stuck in traffic, so he was going to be late by an hour, so yeah. When we first sat down, the food court was pretty empty, but it filled up fast. A young woman and her mother approached us and asked if we were done with the table. I apologized and said no. The younger lady got annoyed and said we clearly aren't eating anything and that I've been sitting at the table doing nothing for 20 minutes now. I apologized and said she could ask someone else. She then started to guilt trip me about her mother being old and tired and how my kids and I are still young, so we should be able to give up our table. I said I'm sorry, but there's nothing you could say to make me move. Please ask someone else. She then got closer and started yelling about how disrespectful and rude I'm being towards her sick mother. It was very loud and other people started looking. My oldest got scared and my younger one who was napping woke up upset. I immediately asked her to be quiet as she's scaring my kids. She rolled her eyes at me and said my kids are in public and aren't entitled to quiet. I just said you and your mother aren't entitled to a table either. She then got mad and said it's entirely different, but a security guard approached us. We explained what happened and he told her that she was causing a scene and she left after calling me rude and entitled. The security guard then told me that I should have just given up my table, but it's none of his business, and walked away. My husband said I did good, but his coworker that was with him privately told me I couldn't have been that tired and that if I'm in public, I should have some awareness. He said older people need to sit down more than kids do, and definitely more than I do. Am I the jerk? Edit. No, the young lady and her mother did not have food with them. The table I was sitting at was just one small table and 2 chairs. My oldest on one seat, me and my youngest on the other. I've also been to this mall countless times for years now, and no one has ever been told to leave a table unless it's closing time. It's a popular hangout spot for teens as well. No, you had every right to stay at that table for as long as you needed to. You were a customer of the mall and food court. You purchased food, you sat down and ate. Unless there's a posted policy in the food court, you could have camped out there all day long. That woman was rude and used to getting her way. I'm so very glad you denied them. Not the jerk. Karen demands I put my dog outside on Christmas. I, 22 female, have a big cane Corso, 130 pounds. Last year, I left him with some trusted friends to visit my family for 2 days. I hated it and asked my parents to let me visit with him next year. They agreed. They got a dog over this summer, and I thought nothing of it. Yesterday, however, I got a call from my stepmom saying that their little 15-pound mix has bitten 3 people and is extremely and irrationally dog aggressive. They never socialized her or took her to a trainer because she's tiny and harmless. I said I can take my crate and keep Dude, my dog, there or have them switch out with theirs, but she said that she needs Dude to be outside. I got upset and said no. Their yard is well fenced in and there is a small shed with heating out there, but I'm not a fan. It's 5 days of him in the cold, alone and outside. He's a house dog. He's never been and never will be an outside dog. There are no pet hotels or friends to turn to so close to Christmas. I tried making compromises, like keeping Dude in one room and just taking him out for walks, but she's refusing. She says it will upset their dog too much. I finally told her that if there's no way we can have Dude somewhere in the house, I can't go. Everyone is mad at me now, and my sister and cousin texted me saying I'm being overly dramatic. Dude is a protection breed, and a lot of them are actually kept in the yard as guardians. I understand that, but mine was never meant to be a backyard dog. I'd understand if it was summer and all, but I can't put him out in the dead of winter with temperatures below freezing. Am I the jerk for saying I won't go and for causing a scene? Not the jerk. She's tiny and harmless, and yet she bites people? And they want to have a house full of other people around her? That's just a disaster waiting to happen. Not the jerk. You offered several options. They clearly have never boarded a dog if they think you can find a facility now. Most places are booked for Christmas by the end of July. I'd skip it, and that's on them. OP. I called around, and only one place has availability, but they want $280 a night, which is insane. Plus, their reviews are horrible. Everything is solid booked, and they even have a list of people waiting in case of an opening. Am I the jerk for accidentally insulting my future daughter-in-law's infertility? I'm 64, and I have one son, Robert, with my late husband, James. Robert is engaged to Sarah, who is also 35. Last Sunday, Sarah and Robert came to my house for dinner. We were chatting, and I told them a story about James, who Sarah unfortunately never got to meet. While I was pregnant, James was very excited and insisted on putting together everything, cribs and changing tables, etc. Bless him, but my James was not much of a carpenter, and one day when I was putting Robert in his crib, the whole thing broke. I managed to catch Robert in time, so no harm done, thankfully. After the story, I made a joke along the lines of Sarah never having that problem if they have kids, because Robert actually is a carpenter. She burst into tears and asked me why I was being so cruel. I was taken aback and asked her what was wrong, as I certainly hadn't meant to upset her, and I was sorry if I had. She told me they discovered recently that Sarah is infertile and she would never be able to have kids, even with IVF. I apologized profusely and said if I had known, I would never have made a joke about it. James and I struggled with having Robert, and we were never able to give him siblings, so I felt awful that I had hurt Sarah like that. The mood was ruined after that, and Robert and Sarah decided to leave early. On Tuesday, I ran into Robert's best friend and his wife while I was out shopping. His wife is good friends with Sarah and seemed unusually cold towards me. I asked why, and she said she hadn't known I was so rude and that I should be ashamed of mocking Sarah's infertility. It turns out that the story had been spread that I viciously insulted Sarah and insinuated she shouldn't marry Robert. The story even got back to our family, and a lot of our relatives are quite upset with me. I apologized when I made the joke, but now I'm wondering if I really did overstep that badly and insult Sarah horribly. I don't want to be a bad mother-in-law, and I get along quite well with Sarah ordinarily. Am I the jerk here? Edit. I decided to answer some questions. 1. I haven't spoken to Robert about the story spreading the way it did. I thought it was best to give them space after the dinner to process Sarah's diagnosis, but a lot of commenters are saying I should ask him about it, and I think you may be right. 2. I haven't discussed future kids with her before, as my own mother-in-law was quite cruel to myself and James, especially me, since we only had Robert. James' siblings all have quite large families, and my mother-in-law was very clear about who she blamed for our lack of kids. I decided early on in Sarah and Robert's relationship that I wouldn't ask the typical questions of when would they be having kids, but I have only met Sarah's family once, so I don't know if her own relatives pressure her the way that my mother-in-law pressured me. 3. Sarah is a very lovely woman, and we have never had a big problem together before. Many commenters have said frankly rude things about her, which wasn't my intention when posting here. I know Robert has always wanted a big family, and he wouldn't have asked Sarah to marry him if they weren't on the same page about that. So Sarah is likely going through an enormous amount of grief at the moment. Do be kind to her, please. 4. I've also decided to reach out to Sarah and ask if the two of us can talk. I think the story spreading was really a case of telephone, but I would like to clear the air. Following that, I'm going to ask the both of them over for a chat and to discuss the situation, as I don't want this to fester. I haven't decided what I'm going to do about clearing everything up with the family, but it's not my main concern. Robert and Sarah are. I would like to thank everyone for their comments, as they were mostly all lovely and kind. The situation truly upset me, and a lot of you had very good advice, so thank you all. You made a joke about your late husband's carpentry skills, not your daughter-in-law's infertility, as you were completely unaware of their situation. That Sarah has chosen to make you a villain to everyone who will listen says more about her than it does you, not the jerk. My wife drained our savings and got on a plane. When we first got married, I was all of our income. I was making around $80,000 a year, but I was working 50 to 60 hours a week. My wife had small jobs that she would do for a month here or there, just for a little extra spending money. We've been saving for a house since we currently rent a condo and we both want to have kids. With wanting to start a family, I did not want to work as much as I was because I felt I'd miss out on a lot of our kids' childhood. I decided to find another job with a better schedule. I found a normal Monday through Friday, 40 hours a week job that I'm happy with. But as you can imagine, losing all of that overtime came at a cost. We talked about it before I changed careers, and she told me that she would work and help because now I'd be making significantly less. I went from $80,000 down to about $55,000 a year. Fast forward 5 months. She worked part-time at a restaurant for a few months and helped pay for groceries, which is all that I ever asked her to pay for. She loses the restaurant job that she was slowly starting to hate, with the reason being they were too slow. Whether or not that's the real reason, I'm not sure. In the past, she could quit a job and it wouldn't really affect us, but things have changed since then. So now I've been working 6 days a week and 10 plus hours of overtime to make up for the loss of income. Monday I came home. We ate, then we had to go grocery shopping because I had no lunch meat for work lunches. On the way to the store, I asked her what she did today and she smirkingly responded, "I laid in bed and did nothing at all." I said, "That sounds nice. I wish I could do that," which made her angry. I told her that I didn't think it was fair that I had to work all this overtime to pick up the slack and she gets to lay in bed and do nothing all day. I said I feel like I'm contributing more to this relationship and it's not fair. She starts yelling at me in the car, so I bring her back home and drop her off. I proceed to go grocery shopping by myself. I come back home and she's gone. I text her a few hours later asking if she's coming home tonight and I get no answer. The next day, I go to work, come home, and notice some of her electronics are gone. iPad, Apple Watch, chargers, etc. I text her again. "Are you coming home today?" Still no answer, still doesn't come back. Thursday comes and she uploads a picture of herself on Snap inside Midway Airport. I respond asking why she was there, to which she ignores. I check our savings and it's all gone. She took all of our house savings, which is around $8,000, and I can only assume she got on a plane and left. She removed me on Snap. I tried contacting her and I'm getting the confirmation that she reads my messages, but she's not responding. I'm not sure if she's coming back. I assume she is because she left some jewelry that her mom got her that has some sentimental value. But honestly, I don't know if I should take her back. I don't know if I could ever trust her with money again. I don't know where she is or what she's doing, but it's been a week now. I haven't been without her for more than 2 days for the 4 years we've been married, and to do this really hurts me. Everyone I've talked to says I deserve better and I shouldn't take her back if she does try to come back. I love her. Being without her drives me crazy. If she comes back, what should I do? Update. I caught her driving by the condo when I was leaving to meet some friends. I texted her and told her, "I'm leaving for lunch. You can go to the apartment and start getting your stuff." This sparked a flurry of text messages and phone calls. I asked her to explain herself. She said she's been staying in a hotel nearby and she hasn't talked to me because she wanted me to call her. The text messages, Facebook messages, and Snapchat weren't what she wanted. She needed a phone call. I told her she was ignoring my attempts to contact her. Why would I try to call her? She never got on a plane. She said she took a picture at the airport dropping off her friend, which that was Thursday. So if she's back by Saturday, that would have been a short trip, so I kind of believe it. She didn't blow all the money, but she's been using it for the hotel and to eat. She admitted she was slacking around the house and recommended counseling for our issues. I explained how terrible it was being ghosted and left in the dark for a week. I told her I need time. She has no family in this country and only 2 friends, so I told her to stop wasting money on a hotel and offered the spare bedroom. OP, you need to immediately contact a divorce attorney. Freeze your credit, file for divorce, and move on. Dude, please get some self-respect and divorce her. Why would you ever take her back? Get a new bank account at a different financial institution and start having your paychecks direct deposited to it. Then go see a lawyer about a divorce. Well, what do you think? Should OP divorce his wife for this or not? Please let us know.
Some people in this world will take and take and take from you and never give anything in return. They feel entitled to all that you have to offer for some reason. The sooner you can get away from that type of person, the better.
Am I the jerk for having dairy-free options at Thanksgiving, so now I'm not allowed to cook for Christmas dinner? I hosted Thanksgiving at my home this year. We have several lactose-intolerant family members, one of them being my son's husband, so I made some recipes using oil or olive oil butter over real butter, or using lactate milk so it would be safe. I made sure to put the dairy-free items apart from anything with regular milk and butter by having a separate small table for those dishes. My son-in-law ended up feeling very ill and my son brought him to the ER that night. Even though I used safe ingredients, he still had a reaction to something unknown in the food. My son rang me up from the hospital asking what was in the dishes at the dairy safe table. I told him I had used oil, vegan butter, and lactate. He was upset with me because I put milk into the mashed potatoes. I told him again I put lactate milk so it would be safe. My son-in-law has recovered and he's doing well. My son, however, is quite upset with me and claims he cannot trust me to cook food for them again because I mislabeled the food. He's claiming he has told me many times about his husband's dairy allergy, and I agree he has, which is why I made separate food. It's now to the point where the family doesn't want me to make any dairy-free dishes for Christmas because I'm failing to understand. Instead, they have all agreed my sister-in-law will make some of those dishes while my son and son-in-law will make the rest. I'm beside myself because I love to cook for and feed my family. I feel I'm being displaced when what happened on Thanksgiving could have been caused by a reaction to anything. Your son-in-law is not lactose intolerant, he's allergic to dairy. Lactose intolerance is a completely different medical condition compared to dairy allergy. People who are allergic to dairy cannot have lactate milk or any dairy in any form. I can see that you tried your best to make something safe for your son-in-law, but it sounds like, without knowing, you made a mistake that could have resulted in your son-in-law's life. Also, it seems like you still don't understand the reason why the food you made was not safe for your son-in-law, so it's really for the best, for his safety, if you don't cook for him again. I'm sure you would not want your son-in-law to become very ill or worse from eating food that you cooked. So I really hope you can come to terms with this and not feel like anyone is trying to displace you. You're the jerk. From the sound of your post, this is not the first time this has happened, and you have seemingly chosen to willfully ignore the information your son has provided for you about his husband's dietary needs, both verbally and as a written list. You may have seen the other comment explaining what's going on here, and you still don't understand it. Your willful neglect and repeatedly refusing to educate yourself or follow basic instructions, well, it makes you a jerk. Am I the jerk for wanting to get divorced because of a surname? My wife and I had difficulties in conceiving due to an accident I had when I was younger. After 3 years, we finally had our daughter 3 weeks ago. Baby and mom are home and healthy, but I've been on the couch due to an issue over the surname. My wife was previously in a long-term relationship with her ex, who she lost due to his mental health issues after he returned from service abroad. Her son from her first relationship lives with us and is 12 in a month's time. Her son has her ex's surname. She wants our baby to have her ex's surname. She still goes by that name, so that her son doesn't feel left out from his new sibling and future siblings, and because he had a better name than mine. I tried to compromise by saying since I practically raised her son, he can have my surname. That way he won't feel left out and she can take my name too. She said no, as he's had this name all his life and he shouldn't have to change it to appease me. I tried to explain that they have 2 separate fathers, so it's natural that they have different names. I suggested she use her maiden surname and hyphenate it with mine for our baby, and she can hyphenate her maiden name with her ex's for her son. That way the siblings will have almost the same name. That was turned down too. We have to register the baby's name next Thursday. I told her that we should probably get couples therapy and in the meantime register her with my name. She turns that down too, then said she went through the trouble of carrying her and pushing her out. She should get to decide this on her own. I even asked her son, and he said he doesn't mind having separate names, as he knows his father was his father, but I'm dad. He doesn't care if his sister has a different surname. I told my wife this, and she said I'm emotionally manipulating him. We had an argument 5 days ago, and we haven't spoken much. I didn't want to continue like this, as this should be our happy moments. 2 days ago, I told her that the baby either gets my surname or we're getting a divorce. I told her that perhaps her deceased husband could help raise our daughter with her since she doesn't want to acknowledge me as the dad. She called me a manipulator and says it's not fair that she doesn't get to decide the baby's first name on her own or the surname. Her suggestions for the first name when she was pregnant were feminine versions of her ex's name. Think Alexis, Alexia, Alexandra for Alexander, and his actual name if we had a boy. Today I called a solicitor and she overheard. She's telling me that I'm forcing her into a corner with this name thing, even though we went with her choice of first name after I ruled out the ones similar to her ex's, and my choice is a middle name. I just want some outside opinions on whether I'm doing the right thing. Like, what am I doing with my life anymore? It's so messed up. Wait, hold on. Is this a case of her never changing her married name back after the passing of her ex? I understand her wanting to keep the same last name as her son, and I feel like the hyphenation is a great compromise So I would say not the jerk, because it's ridiculous for her not to compromise. OP. Yes, she kept her ex's name, and I was fine with that, as she explained she wanted to have the same name as her son. But it seems she was keeping it for other reasons, as she still thinks it sounds better than mine. Wait, you said your wife still has the late partner's last name. Legally. That's a little different than her wanting to give your daughter a late partner's name, to be honest. It's her name too. However, it is extremely weird that she wanted to name your daughter after him, the first name. OP. She's 43. Most of her life was under her maiden name. She has gone under his name for about 10 years, but she didn't officially change it until she added her ex-husband first and middle name to her son's official name when he was 7. Then she changed hers too. We were dating and exclusive, but I didn't mind thinking she was doing it for her son. It's only been her legal name for about 6 years. In the beginning, she did bring him up a lot. I was okay with the first few years, but then I had a talk with her, so she brought him up less and less. Then she changed her son's name and also her own. I didn't mind as she wanted the same name as him, and she was married to him, so I figured it was okay for her to change it even if she did it years after he had passed. When we were discussing marriage, she said she didn't want to change her new name to mine as mine is just bland. I didn't mind. Romantically, we were okay, and she likes that I'm good with her son, but won't let me adopt him. This caused a rift, but to keep the peace, I backed down. While trying for a baby, we were more like roommates, but she really wanted a baby and so did I. We were overjoyed when we found out it was a girl, as she had always wanted one. Making a list of names and middle names caused some arguments, but not major ones. Am I the jerk for telling my friend she should have seen her husband and her friend's affair coming? Background. I, 35 female, was friends with Julia, 35, and Alex, 34 female. We've been friends since college, but our tiny group expanded from 3 to 7. This story is about Julia and Alex. 2 years ago, we all came to know that Alex was having an affair with a married man. Her excuse was that he was unhappy, and that's why he was seeking outside validation. I advised her to stop it, and this is not healthy because he will not leave his wife. She didn't listen, rather accused me of being a bad friend. All of my friends were against it, but to them it was not my monkey, not my circus. So I contacted the wife and told her everything. I knew who the wife was because the married man had once introduced us, and everyone in my friend group turned against me, especially Julia because she thinks I betrayed my friends. She stopped talking to me because if I can betray a close friend of mine, then I can betray her as well. Alex was heartbroken because the married man decided he wanted to work on his marriage, so he broke things off with Alex. Julia was with Alex, and I was shunned from our group. What happened now? A few weeks ago, I got a call from Julia. She was crying and telling me that Alex betrayed her. She's been having an affair with her husband, and that she is heartbroken because she has supported her and this is how she repays her. Even our friend group is divided. I was angry at that moment. I mean, she ignored me for 2 years, badmouthed me, said that I was wrong. I literally warned her that Alex was toxic, so I told her that she should have expected this from Alex. I mean, did she really think that she will show loyalty towards you when she already did something immoral before? I knew the moment she made excuses of having an affair with a married man, her morals were compromised. I'm not religious, but I do have minimum respect towards other people and their feelings. And suffice to say, I'm not surprised she went after her husband. I do think I went too far because some of my other friends said I was too harsh on her. Even if what I said was the truth, I should have been more sensitive because she's going through a divorce. I do sympathize with Julia, but I also feel like as friends, sometimes we need to tell them the harsh truth. I know I said all of this when I was angry, but a part of me says she needed to hear that. Was I wrong? Was there any benefit to telling her this? It seems a little petty to me. OP. I agree it was petty, but at that moment I was angry. She ostracized me for telling the wife the truth and breaking up Alex's relationship because friends should stick together, and she also took part in justifying the affair. I was just enraged by her hypocrisy. Update. I've read many of your comments, and first of all, I want to clear this out right now. I do not regret telling the wife about the affair. I do not think I did the wrong thing. My friend was doing something wrong in my opinion. She happily contributed to destroying a family, knowing the man she was dating was married. I know the blame should be on him, but she also needs to take accountability for her actions. If I was getting cheated on, I would want to know. So I guess the wife would also want to know. I know a lot of you have shamed me, but just know that I don't even care. I was not the affair partner, so why should I take the blame? I was simply a messenger. Now on to the actual update. I did speak to Julia and said that I was sorry. I shouldn't have punched down when she's already going through some stuff. I did not want to add to it. I know a lot of you have told me to just cut her off, but I realized I was too harsh on her. Even if what she did 2 years ago was wrong, but she came to me when she needed a friend. I can sympathize with her in her tough times. She just went on and on about how she felt betrayed by Alex when she has always defended her, even when her own parents disowned her. Just out of curiosity, I asked her if she has plans to divorce her husband or work things out. She said she's going to file for divorce. Her husband is begging her for another chance and even said he'll cut off all contact with Alex along with the offer of opening their marriage on her end. But she's headstrong on her divorce. She did ask for my forgiveness and I do forgive her, but I still do not want anything to do with her. I do feel sorry for her and I hope she finds peace, but our friendship will never be restored to its own glory. She said that she understands and this is probably her karma and God is punishing her. She's quite religious. That's the end. I hope she takes him to the cleaners, and from the grapevine, I heard that Alex has been shunned from my former friend group because now they're afraid she might go after their husbands. And as for Alex, I do believe she is a psycho who enjoys breaking up families. I do not think any amount of exposing will work on her because she has no shame. She deliberately goes after married and committed men, and I'm glad I cut ties with her way before she could get to me. That's it. Have a great life and stay away from all the Alexes of this world. Am I the jerk for telling my sister-in-law that she's welcome to get a hotel if she's going to keep complaining about everything in my house? I'm 28, female. My brother, Alex, who's 33, and his wife, Rachel, who's 35, and their daughter, who's 7 months, are staying with me until after Christmas because they're back in our hometown for the month, and our parents' house is being renovated, so they have nowhere else to stay. I'm a nurse, and I work strange shifts sometimes. A few nights ago, I got home at around 2 a.m. after my shift. Usually I work either day or night shift, so getting home at 2 a.m. was unusual, but it happens sometimes. Anyway, I walk in the house as quietly as I could, but the stairs creak, so Rachel heard me coming up. The next morning, she asked if coming home at 2 a.m. will be a regular occurrence because I woke her up. She asked if I can avoid coming home at such hours or walking up the stairs because she'll wake up. I said I'll avoid it as best I can, but some things will be unavoidable, and I apologize in advance. She keeps complaining every time me or my brother walk up or down the stairs when she's trying to take a nap or at night when she's asleep. She's been complaining about literally everything. She'll say stuff like,
Ugh, this Wi-Fi is horrible. Ugh, this area is too noisy. I can't sleep. Ugh, this couch is bad for my back. The fruits here are terrible. These forks are too thin.
If she was complaining about things that I could change easily, then I wouldn't mind because I do want them to enjoy their stay here. But hearing her complain about everything under the sun is draining. I hate coming home from work just to hear her complain and complain and complain. Yesterday, after she was complaining about how much she hates my induction stove and telling me I should just get a regular gas stove, I said I keep my house just as I like it, so she shouldn't worry about it. She said, yeah, it's how I like, but it makes it difficult for guests. I said I barely ever have guests, and the only reason they're staying with me is because I wanted to do them a favor, but that they're absolutely welcome to get a hotel if she's just going to keep complaining about everything. She told my brother about our conversation, and he said I've put him in a tough spot because he can't afford to get them a hotel or an Airbnb for weeks, but now I've made his wife not want to stay with me anymore. I said that's all on his wife, and none of that is my problem. Things are very hostile and weird around here now. Am I the jerk? Not the jerk, but you need to sit both of them down and tell them that you want them to stay, but your complaint tolerance level has been reached. They're free to stay, but one more complaint and the decision to stay is yours, not theirs. I don't even know why you feel the need to apologize for walking up the stairs in your house. Your sister-in-law is a tad too entitled, and she needs a reality check. Stop tiptoeing around her. Karma is a jerk, and so was she. This story is from quite a few years ago, back when I was a bartender in a corporate-style cookie-cutter restaurant. I mostly worked nights, but had one regular mid-shift on Fridays. We were always super busy at the bar for lunch on Fridays and usually had quite a few of the mall workers coming in to eat, then head back to work. Nearly every Friday, the same smug, borderline rude lady came in for lunch. Every time she paid exact change, 0 tip. Maybe half the time she would complain over some minor inconvenience, and more than a few times got a comped meal. The more I had to wait on her, the more indignant and upset I got. So around Christmas time, I was out and about in the mall buying for family and friends. Picked out something nice for my girlfriend at the time, a sheer top which I thought would look amazing on her, decently priced with it being on sale too. Walking up to the register, I was a bit surprised to run into resting jerk face. Whatever. In street clothes, I felt like she barely registered who I was. Or maybe she really didn't care who was at her register. Maybe both. So I hand her a $20 bill. She examines it for a moment, turns it over twice, held it up to the light even. Then, out comes the counterfeit pin marker. Thinking to myself, a bit excessive, no? Change should have been around $1 and change. Surprisingly, she hands out $81 plus change. She calls next in line, so I step to the side for a moment in contemplation. I could honestly feel the devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other. Took me a moment or two, but I finally let my moral compass win and stepped back in front of the register. I nicely explained that there was a mistake made, but before I could continue, she shot me down and briskly told me in a semi-professional tone to get out of here. So I did. The way I look at it, all those lost tips and the money she just gifted me was just karma. Sucked to be her, I guess.
Karen's brats refuse to eat my Christmas dinner. I, 31 female, am going to be hosting Christmas celebration this year. The menu is usual and everyone is familiar with it. My sister-in-law's kids are what they call the most vicious picky eaters out there. Mind you, they're 6 and 9 and are probably just being deliberately difficult to their parents. Sister-in-law called to inform me that she will be bringing food for her kids to eat at Christmas dinner. I asked her why, and she said that they will not be able to eat anything from the menu after looking at it. I said that I was sorry, but there isn't enough space at the table for extra meals. And besides that, the kids should really start learning to be more tolerant to some foods, especially at family holiday gatherings where it's expected for everyone to just eat what's in front of them without complaining. She went on about how difficult kids can be. Mostly can't relate, but I get it. But still, she should keep in mind that it's probably a passing phase for them, so sucking it up for one dinner wouldn't affect them. She said that I don't get it and that she doesn't want them to stay hungry or feed on snacks. I apologized and declined. My husband got involved in this, and he's saying I'm being inconsiderate towards my guests. He said that I lose nothing by allowing them to bring food, but I disagree because this was not part of my plan. And if anything, this should be a teachable moment for the kids to know that they can't expect to be catered for all the time. He got more upset and told me that his sister is heavily reconsidering coming to a celebratory dinner where her kids weren't allowed to bring their own food. They're applying pressure on me, saying I'll ruin the celebration if I keep trying to die on this hill. Am I the jerk? You're the jerk. It's not your place to provide a teachable moment. Get over yourself. She's not asking you to cook special food, and she's bringing it herself. Their food can be put on their plates, so your no room argument makes no sense. Make sure to dress up as Scrooge for the meal. You're the jerk. Exactly. You don't get to choose the teachable moments for someone else's kids. Your husband's right. It costs you nothing to be gracious. You don't have to do anything extra. She was just being courteous by giving you a heads up. Don't make this a thing. Let everyone enjoy the day. Ironically, this is a perfectly teachable moment for OP, that you're going to have to accept things will not play out the way you want them to when you have events like she is doing. You're the jerk. Either you want to dictate what people are eating, or you want to enjoy your family at a holiday gathering. These posts about inhospitable hosts are getting tedious. I prepare all of our family's holiday meals, and I could give a rat's backside if people bring a favorite dish of their own food. And your excuse, there isn't enough space at the table for extra meals, is ridiculous and absolute malarkey with a side of horse manure. You're the jerk. Why are you so intent on ruining Christmas for kids? This won't actually put you out at all. You're just gatekeeping Christmas dinner for some weird reason. I mean, I can be a control freak, but I've got nothing on you. Methinks your heart needs to grow a couple of sizes. P.S. No one likes the sound of kids crying because they're hungry and don't like the food. Don't make everyone listen to it. Well, what do you think? Is OP the jerk or not? Please let us know. They wanted to start messing with the cat that I told them not to. This happened about 4 years ago, and I still laugh about it to this day. My older cousin had a cat named Tara when she was younger. Tara was a total loose screw, and she would bite and scratch anyone who so much as looked at her funny. And don't get me started when you dare disturb her sleeping. Never mess with Tara when she's sleeping.
Tara only really felt comfortable around my cousin and I. She liked me because I usually help my cousin feed her because I wanted to know what it was like taking care of a cat, as I want my own. Plus, I was already close with my cousin. Now here's where it gets good. My aunt and uncle were having a little family gathering and they decided to invite some of their close friends. Among them were their demonic kids, Mini Bigfoot, who was 6, and Mini Yeti. Those two couldn't sit still or shut up for at least 1 second, and the parents just let it all happen. They would use the excuse, "They don't know any better." They probably would if you set a boundary or something at least. So while they're downstairs terrorizing the adults and anyone else who was brave and patient enough to be in the same room as them, me, my cousin, and her friend all just chill upstairs. They both are talking about some stuff with school and all that nonsense that I didn't bother listening to. They both leave the room to go run a few errands and buy some more cat toys, as Tara had demolished the previous ones. So now I'm left in the room alone with a little furball that's curled up on the bed having a darn good nap. Then I hear the sounds of rapid footsteps and I didn't need to peek out to see who it was. Both gremlins walk in the room and immediately point out all the drawings on the walls of Nintendo characters. My cousin loves Nintendo. Then little Mini Bigfoot has to point out that there's a fluffy kitty on the bed. They reach over to pet her and I inch their hands away and tell them to not disturb her. For some background, I already had a bad beef with these two because when they were at our house, Mini Yeti pulled my dog's ear and tail constantly and wouldn't stop. Mini Yeti starts to whine about how much she loves cats and she wants to cuddle the itty-bitty kitty. I tell her that Tara hates when her sleep is disturbed and they still wouldn't go away. They went downstairs to tell their parents and they told me, "Let them pet the cat. It's not even yours and it's just a cat." I tried reasoning with them and even my aunt and uncle sided with me, but they still wouldn't understand as they swore it was just a regular house cat. I walked back upstairs and suddenly I got a huge grin on my face. I told the kids that they can go play with the cat and they started laughing at me and taunting me, but soon the tables would turn. They went inside of the room and I camped outside the door. For about 5 seconds, I could just hear the "wow" from one of the kids. Then it finally came. An ear-piercing hiss and loud meow, followed by a distant sound of clothes stretching and gremlins screaming. They both sprinted out of the room crying, and the Mini Bigfoot had a big scratch going down his right arm. Little Yeti had it worse, as her nice new shirt was absolutely ripped, and the cat had got her on the arm too. Their parents were furious at me and commanded me downstairs to scold me. They asked how could I let that cat scratch them like that and not do anything about it. I was gonna say something, but then my dad's face went white as he pointed at the stairs. We looked, and guess what we saw? At the top of the stairs, Tara was right there with her tail hunched back and her ears folded flat against her head. To add to that, the lights upstairs were off, so her eyes were glowing. The dad of the two kids thought it would be a good idea to punish a cat that wasn't his, so he marched up the stairs while staring down Tara. Bad move, because Tara then leapt off the stairs and landed right on the dude's back and cut a huge cut in his shirt in the process. She then climbed off, then just went back up the stairs and went to sleep again, like she didn't just almost hurt them. When my cousin got back, we told her about the story, and she was mad at first. Then she started to laugh when we mentioned her cat wasn't hurt. Tara got a nice plate of tuna for dinner and a good back rub as a reward. Forgot to mention, Tara's still alive and kicking with my cousin. She's way different than she was years ago, as Tara takes time to warm up to strangers and doesn't just go full Bengal tiger mode on new people. She's way more lazier now as well. But one thing will always stay with that cat, and that's that you do not disturb her when she's sleeping. You will catch those paws if you wake her up. Am I the jerk for telling my husband I refuse to be a stay-at-home mom? My husband and I are expecting, and I am 5 months pregnant. We are over the moon and so looking forward to meeting our son. My husband owns and runs his own business, and so do I. We are both very happy with our jobs. Recently, we started talking about schools, childcare, and jobs, etc. Now, it's important to note that my husband and I are very safety-oriented and wary of people we don't know. I stated that I'd like to go back to work pretty soon after the baby is born. I'm looking forward to spending time with the baby, but I am in no way interested in staying home with him full-time. I'm imagining being back full-time when he's around 8 to 10 months. My husband was under the impression that I'd be staying home with the baby until he goes to kindergarten, maybe even longer. I was a bit taken aback because I had no idea why he thought this. He stated he wasn't really comfortable with leaving our kid with a sitter. Note, nannies are hard to come by where we live, and we both require some certain safety requirements for said nanny, which makes it hard to find someone suitable. I told him I wanted to start looking into nannies before the baby was born, so that they could get to know the baby during my maternity leave. That way, they would both be familiar with each other by the time I go back to work. He started arguing a bit about what our expectations were. I understand not every mom would be comfortable with my choices, but I cannot handle being a stay-at-home mom. I know it would mentally tear me apart, and it has no appeal to me. We're both in control of our own work hours, so it's not like we won't spend any time with the baby. We just both love our jobs and also need time to be people and not just parents. He said I was the jerk for not wanting to stay home until the baby starts school, and I said he was being a jerk for expecting that of me. He's respecting my decision and he supports me no matter what I decide. I recognize where he's coming from, but I just cannot for the life of me be a stay-at-home mom. But I guess I do feel a little bad because I'm wondering if I'm the jerk. Info: his business requires a bit more of him and requires him physically showing up for some parts of the job, which is why he cannot be the one to stay home. I have every means and access to stay home, I simply just do not want to. Am I the jerk for not staying home? Edit: it's an accidental pregnancy due to failed birth control, but we are now very happy. We've also talked about it in the past where he didn't show any discomfort with childcare. Guess we're all a little more overprotective when it comes to our own kids. Edit 2. I'm seeing a lot of comments stating, why didn't we have this conversation before marriage? We have. My husband and I have had this conversation, and we both decided we wanted to be child-free. We talked about it before we got married and have talked about it a lot since. We've even talked about accidental pregnancy, but never thought it would become real. This is a matter of failed birth control, and we just found out I was pregnant in month 4, so we weren't really left with many options. Furthermore, my husband changed his mind about outside childcare once we were actually in the situation. Guess parental protectiveness kicked in. Not the jerk. OP, do not let your husband guilt trip you into thinking you're a bad mom or a bad wife if you don't stay home. Once you start staying home, the dynamics of your relationship will change, no matter what your husband says. Plus, going back to work will be much, much harder. Now it'll be your job, and your job alone, to make sure your kid gets to school on time, has a ride home, gets meals on time, and overall just is prepared for daily stuff. If your husband isn't willing to make sacrifices so he can stay home, then he should not be expecting you to stay home. Period. Not the jerk. You state, he is respecting my decision and he supports me no matter what I decide. Are you delusional? No, I'm kidding. But he's not supporting your decision since you feel like this. If this is so important to him, he can make the sacrifice. Oh wait, you say he can't? Well, neither can you. He doesn't seem to support the fact that your mental health and love for your career exists. You both need to talk more about this. Will you be expected to be the one who drives the kid to school and picks them up every day? Sports activities? Friends' houses? Is he just providing the money? What's going on here? I'd recommend writing down some important points and sharing them. Or maybe move to an area where you can find the support for raising this kid how you two would like. There are a lot more options than being a stay-at-home mom. I'm a stay-at-home mom, not by choice, and it has destroyed me. I'm not the person I was. I'm a hollow shell. Please don't get sucked into this. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or her husband? Please let us know. Am I the jerk for making comments about someone not being able to have kids because she called me Kim Kardashian? I, 40 female, freely admit I love social media and pretty much share my life as per many people. I'm very proud of my accomplishments and deserve to share them. I have 2 beautiful kids, mid-teens, who I raise well. I train hard and take a lot of care over my appearance and clothes choices. I work hard and look after my beautiful home. We're also lucky to enjoy nice holidays. I share most of this as well as venting about, say, poor customer service, and most of my friends expect this. I accept this isn't for everyone, but they can just scroll past. This involves my sister's sister-in-law, her husband's sister. Let's call her Sam, 45. We are linked on social media and see each other occasionally at my sister's. My sister and Sam post a bit, but not much, and rarely comment on my posts. Up to them.
Sister has 2 kids who are in their late teens. Sam does not have kids. I heard unofficially from my sister a few years ago that she had had fertility treatments which hadn't worked. We've never spoken about it. Sister's daughters adore Sam. She's also their auntie. When she's there, I don't get a look in. She spoils them. I think she does it on purpose. We were at Sister's house for a pre-Christmas party. I was taking photos, and eldest niece, who's 16, wanted to vet them before I posted them. This went on a bit too long. She looked good in all of them. My daughter does the same, and I eventually made an executive decision to post the perfect picture anyway. Niece was upset. Sam took her side. Sister was out of the room and said it was up to my niece. I said she couldn't always get her own way. She needed to learn life was about compromise. Sam said we weren't the Kardashians and niece had the right to veto. Calling me Kim Kardashian felt so disrespectful, and I said I was proud of my family and she would understand if she had had her own kids. She flinched but didn't really respond and was icy to me all evening. My husband apologized to her on my behalf, which she didn't even accept, and niece actually shouted at me. Later, my sister and even brother-in-law were angry when they found out. They called me later. But I didn't refer to her infertility, and what she said was really disrespectful, as if she was better than me. Am I really the jerk here? You're the jerk. Sam was absolutely correct. You shouldn't have posted the picture knowing your niece didn't like it. Second, having kids has nothing to do with this. You're not your niece's mom, and neither is Sam. The 2 of you were having this conversation as aunts. You only threw in the comment about Sam not having kids to shut her up. Finally, you know that Sam wanted kids and was unable to have them, so for you to use the fact that she's childless to win an argument was just wrong. My wife is mad that I'm hesitant to use our 2-year-old savings account to buy a new car. This has been an ongoing debate, but I'm trying really hard to put money away for our daughter. My mother passed when I was 18, and my father was worthless. My mom put money away as much as she could and left us with a house, had insurance that paid out, and gave me the start in life that I needed without her. I don't make a ton of money, but over the past 2 years, I've managed to put away about $5,000 for my daughter. I'm kind of angry at myself for not saving more, but it's still something, and it's in the highest interest savings account I could find. I just want her to have a good life, free of too many worries about the small stuff. Maybe I can help her with a deposit for a house someday, tuition, her own car, or something like that. My wife doesn't like that I'm saving money for her. She says we have things that we need now that are much more important. We don't own a car, and we don't need one for the most part, but my wife's starting a business and will need one. She doesn't understand why you should save. Her parents never saved for her and don't help her financially. I don't really want a car. She got even more mad when I tried to meet her halfway and say, how about we pay our little one back over a year and add the interest she would have had on the money if it had stayed in the account. She said that's incredibly messed up, and how could I even suggest we pay interest to our daughter? I'm at a loss. I've never been great with money, but I recognize how much savings can help. Am I the jerk for being resistant to using our kids' savings on ourselves? I recognize that money is just money, and these barriers I've put up are artificial, but surely I'm doing the right thing. Not the jerk. I get needing money and looking for places to find it, but you're doing a great thing for your daughter, and if you let this money go, you'll do it again and again until there's nothing left. Info: what kind of business is your wife starting? None of my business really, but if you're that cash-strapped, I'm dubious on her chances of success. Starting a business can be expensive. Might be better to get a regular job without startup expenses and save up. Or do you both really believe she has a good chance at success? And please, this isn't an MLM, is it? Asking because taking money from places you shouldn't to start a business is often where those stories start, and they never end well. Not the jerk. Wanting to save money for your kid is a noble goal, and if you have solely contributed to your kid's savings account, then you should dictate how it's spent. But it sounds like you and your wife are in different places when it comes to how you handle money. You need to get on the same page, otherwise this will be an ongoing argument where she sees the kid's savings account as money that's available for daily use, but you don't. It would be useful if you and your wife could get some financial counseling and/or marriage counseling so you can get on the same page with these and probably other differences. Everyone sucks here. It's good that you're thinking about savings, but it seems like you have become fixated on saving for something that's 20 years away, and you're also not thinking about what your current financial needs are. That would be out of balance, and it's generally not a good idea to do things in an imbalanced way.
It would be worth doing some big picture thinking about your family finances and then making some decisions as a couple. Because the second reason you're the jerk here is because you seem to be making family financial decisions on your own and you don't appear to believe your wife has an equal say. That's not how a healthy relationship works. You also need to think about short-term spending. If the family does need a car, it's not clear from the post if that's a real need or not, then that should be considered. There also needs to be some kind of fun money every month, or life just becomes dull, hard, and slog that's barely worth living. It doesn't have to be much, but saving for future security at the expense of living your life now is not balanced. If you have money to put into savings, then you can find a balance between that and at least minimal fun money. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or his wife? Please let us know.
Financial advice and parenting advice, two of the worst things to ask for on Reddit.
My best friend's mistress doesn't know that he's actually broke. My wife's reaction to the whole thing really bummed me out. I'm 41, male. My best friend, Jack, who's 41, I've known him since kindergarten. Well, he cheated on his wife, Anna, who's 39, with a girl half his age, Max, who's 25. Anna is one of the best human beings I've ever met. She's very beautiful, kind, and caring. She's very successful, too. When Jack met her, he was so in love that he wrote an ironclad prenup just to be with her. In other words, Jack has nothing to his name. He met Max on a work trip, and it was then that he cheated on Anna. The affair lasted for 2 months until Max made an ultimatum to leave his wife for her. Jack refused and tried to end the affair, so Max told Anna everything. This broke Anna beyond repair, and she told Jack that she couldn't forgive him. They're in the process of divorcing now, and Jack lives in a small studio apartment near his work. After Jack lost hope to reconciliation with Anna, he started seeing Max again. Now they're officially dating. My wife, Pat, who's 32, knows all of the details. She's more forgiving and understanding person than I am, and I love that about her. She is way more tolerant because I'm Team Anna, and there's nothing Jack can say to make me change my opinion. Now everything is settled, my wife said that she wanted to invite Jack and his new girlfriend to our place. I was very reluctant at first, but my wife insisted that my friendship with Jack is important. We're basically brothers, and we should accept people we love even with their flaws. It made sense, and I trust my wife to always make sense. The dinner was awkward. I couldn't see past these two cheaters. Jack pretending to be happy, and Max overexcited for the fact that she won this prize named Jack. I understood then that things won't be the same, but my wife was right. I love Jack, and that's the most important thing right now. Max talked about her upbringing and the hard life that she had had growing up. She talked about her future with Jack and all of the fun they would have. It dawned on me that she didn't know that they couldn't do half of what she is dreaming of with Jack's salary. It dawned on me why she chose him and why she was so willing to do what she did to Anna. She had learned to know the Jack who lived in fancy hotels and drove a fancy car. When I asked her about their living arrangements, Max said that Jack temporarily is living in a studio apartment until the divorce is settled. Max talked about what she would do to their place, renovation and redecorating. The apartment that Anna bought for her family with her hard-earned money. The one she decorated with her husband from scratch to make it their home. I remember how happy and full of dreams she was when she found her dream home. To hear Max sitting there talking about how she would use money she never earned to redecorate a home she wasn't entitled to, making fun of another woman's taste and style, it brought tears to my eyes. Yes, men can get emotional too. Jack has not told Max the truth. When they left, Pat and I started discussing our dear friends. I was very surprised when Pat angrily told me that I was cruel and callous for not wanting to enlighten Max about her new situation. My wife thought that Max had a tough life and she deserved to have a good life now. I was taken aback by my wife's logic. I told my wife that I will not tell Max anything, but that if she wanted to, then be my guest. But now I don't understand my wife, and I'm turned off by her morals. Anna was a great friend of my wife, but my wife doesn't even seem to care about her. My wife then got very angry and accused me of caring too much about Anna. That's when I ended the discussion, because I realized that this was going below the belt. Update. I've fallen in love with my best friend's ex-wife. My previous post opened up my eyes. This is so convoluted, but I'll try my best to make it make sense. About my wife, Pat. Sometimes you think you know the person that you fell in love with and married, but then something serious happens and your relationship stands in a trial. Something divisive, and you find yourself standing on opposite sides. You start wondering about the person you chose to create a life with, and wonder why you love them when they're so different from you. You realize that you probably love the version of them that you created in your head. We had a lot of discussions, Pat and I, about how I felt about her new friendship with Jack and Max, and she ignored my disdain for what they had done. I understand that people fall in and out of love and they move on, but then other people in their surroundings also should have feelings or opinions about these decisions. Nobody is right or wrong. Pat's approach was very non-judgmental, which is obviously an admirable thing, but I found myself on the opposite side. Pat told Max that Jack is actually not the one with the money like he had been pretending, and while he is probably not going to be totally empty-handed in this divorce settlement, it won't be the amount that would allow all the dreams and plans she's made, especially when Anna is getting full custody. This put a big wedge between Jack and Max, and they've been off again and on again since this revelation. Jack has expressed a lot of disgust and repulsion towards Max, so I really don't understand this relationship and why these two miserable people stay together, nor do I want to understand. They disgust me, and I'm done with them. About Anna. When she heard about my separation from my wife, she reached out to both of us. She said that since she's gone through something similar, she wanted to offer support and love. She said that she knew what we were going through. We started talking on the phone and texting. Now almost daily, I've met up with her on a few occasions for dinner. I find myself thinking about her all the time, and when I wake up in the morning, I go directly to my phone to see if she sent me a good morning text, and I know my day will be just fine when I find one. Not sure if this is love or if I'm falling for her. Not sure if pursuing anything with her is wise. I've not told anyone about these feelings, and I'm not sure I ever will. I just know that I love having her in my life. She's a great friend, and maybe I shouldn't ruin this beautiful friendship with this beautiful woman because of my desires. Additional info. The thing is, Jack changed a whole lot too. It wasn't only the questionable morality of having an affair, and I don't know if he has always been this way, but never needed to show his true colors because he was married to a brilliant woman. He's now moronic, bitter, and angry all the time, very disrespectful of everything and everyone. He called Anna, the mother of his kids, mean names, and even now his new girlfriend, he calls her names too. He hasn't even seen his kids since Anna made it clear that they would never get back together, like their purpose is done. Never once did he say that he misses his kids. And Pat has seen all of these changes, and it doesn't even bother her, not even a little. What she told me was that he will have more kids with his new girlfriend. I remember the fight we had after this conversation. I never really recovered from it. It's true what they say, that people show their true colors when times are bad. My geeky girlfriend's friends hate me. Pretty sure one of them has the hots for her. I met my now girlfriend at our campus gym. I jokingly asked her to spot me, made a joke about me not being a big guy. I'm not, and somehow ended up getting her to go on a date with me after we were done. We've been together ever since. While I was getting to know her, she admitted to being a huge geek. I never would have guessed, but apparently her brother pretty much gave her a constant stream of stuff like that. At the time, I thought cool, we could play Xbox together or something. There actually wasn't a lot of overlap, besides some games like Halo. She's into a lot of things that I never paid attention to, like Dungeons & Dragons, Final Fantasy, World of Warcraft, etc. It's been pretty fun, and we still work out and run together all the time, and she'll watch me play my sports. We're going to do some co-ed leagues together too. The only problem is that a small group of her friends really hate me. I'll name the main problem guy Bill. There's been a couple of really passive-aggressive things him and his little group have done. 1. We were playing Destiny and doing a strike, which is for 3 players. It was Bill, my girlfriend, and me. He kept leaving the party and inviting her to a different party. When she refused, he sent a text saying another one of their friends was on and wanted to play. My girlfriend decided to just play with me and one of my friends. My girlfriend has a nice apartment. I'm probably over there 5 nights a week, including Saturdays. On Saturday, they have a Dungeons & Dragons party basically. Some of her friends who play, including Bill, come over and play Dungeons & Dragons. Bill complained about all of the people who came over and don't play. Everyone else just drinks and has a good time. My girlfriend told him to get over it because everyone else has a good time. Another video game related issue. My girlfriend had all of us play Diablo 3. Her, Bill, me, and Ryan, who's actually a good guy. I was having a little fun, basically making my girlfriend hold my hand through the game. Bill ran ahead and died. He was upset. He invited my girlfriend to a concert with him and his closest friends after I had already bought the tickets for us to go and have her see it with my family. My girlfriend told him that we might see him there, and he asked if we would even be together that long. This one's probably the most egregious. Yesterday, he literally sent a text to me saying that I'm hogging my girlfriend. I sent something saying that if she didn't want to hang out with me so much, she wouldn't. He replied I didn't have to do everything with my girlfriend and that it was annoying people. I'm positive he has a crush on her. My girlfriend's told me that she grew up with him but never really liked him, that he was a part of the group and she'd rather not make a fuss. She's pretty non-confrontational. I don't think I can really blame him for having a crush on her. She's beautiful and all, but I definitely think he's been nothing but a jerk this whole time. Fortunately, I'm not very threatened, mainly because he isn't my girlfriend's type physically, if what I look like is anything to go off of. Should I just ignore him? Update. Well, those of you that just said that he'd escalate things, you were right. Something I ate must have given me food poisoning 2 days ago, so she's been taking care of me for the past few days. She got a call from Bill, who was at her apartment with some of her friends. She pretty much has an open door policy. People drop by unannounced all the time. She went to go meet them, and apparently they decided to have some sort of an intervention, basically saying what Bill had said to me earlier in text, that I didn't have to do everything with them and that we spend too much time together. It escalated because my girlfriend got angry, and they aren't friends anymore. My girlfriend came home crying. I did my best to comfort her, and we haven't heard from them since yesterday. Apparently, there were a few more people, including some of her female friends in that group, that she's been really close with who had a problem with us, but most of her friends didn't bother taking a side. How do I support her through this? She's lost a relatively large chunk of friends, and even if they weren't great friends, they were the people she shared her hobbies with. Obviously, if she wants to do anything with me, I'll do it with her, but I can't replace all of them. She's not crying anymore, she's just angry at this point. Advice would be great. Update 2. John, another one of her original Dungeons & Dragons friends from school, sent my girlfriend an email asking if they could talk with us yesterday. We agreed, honestly thinking that they might apologize. They actually decided to tell my girlfriend that they'd still like to be friends and that they didn't have to be friends with me to be friends with her. My girlfriend said she understood that, but wasn't even sure if she still wanted to be friends. They actually apologized for putting her in that position the other day when they tried an intervention. She still said the only way that they could ever be friends again was to apologize to me and her. I really don't know why. I had to ask them what they didn't like about me, and they told me. And honestly, some of their points had a little merit, and I'll probably have to work on them. I only met my girlfriend because I was physically attracted to her and decided to talk to her. I don't think this is a legitimate criticism. I spend too much time with my girlfriend, which I do, but like I said in the previous post, it's something we both currently want, and I've never told her to hang out with me over them or anything. I only talk to my girlfriend when we're all in a group. I guess I do tend to do that. I see how that's annoying when we're having a conversation no one else is a part of. They feel like I've had my girlfriend kick them out before. She has a few times so that we could be together. Both times I didn't tell her to. Apparently, my friends that came over made a few jokes about Dungeons & Dragons and made them feel uncomfortable. I actually apologized for this. Although I'm probably not going to say anything to them, we weren't really more than acquaintances. Bill heard a story, and thus told it to the rest of the group, from one of my few high school friends, about a few of the girls I dated in high school, and that I had a nasty habit of leading girls on in high school. I did, but my senior year, my mom and my older sister set me down and told me to stop doing this and treat them with more respect, so I did. I told my girlfriend about this. I consider it to be one of the more important moments of my life. Anyways, we left. My girlfriend and I talked it over. She's still not going to forgive them if they don't apologize to both of us. She said she doesn't want to spend any less time with me and sent an email pretty much saying this to them. 2 of the 6 have already apologized by way of phone call. I should note that Bill wasn't there. I think he's out of town for whatever reason. Not sure if he'll apologize or not. I wanted some advice on how to be around the group that did and will apologize. The 2 girls in the group are her friends that usually come over multiple times a week, as opposed to her Dungeons & Dragons group which only come over once a week. I think the girls will probably start inviting her out more as opposed to hanging out in her apartment. I really don't think that, if they continue playing D&D, that they'll be able to hang out somewhere else. My girlfriend said that she'd be willing to move the game night. From what I've gathered so far, Bill gathered all that info about me from my high school friends, and it makes me uneasy. I don't have anything to hide, but he basically researched me. I haven't said anything about this because I do want my girlfriend to have her friends back. I think our relationship is still doing great. We had a lot of fun this weekend before they asked to meet us. I also want to apologize for posting so much. I'm not terribly close with my friends. I can't really talk to them about any of this. I would have been really upset if someone's significant other at my games had friends over and they made fun of me and my friends for playing Dungeons and Dragons, to the point of not welcome here anymore. OP, they're not coming over again. I just won't invite them. I definitely think Bill was the instigator in all of this, but for just a moment, try and see it from the rest of their points of view. Hey Reddit, we have this friend that we love to play Dungeons and Dragons with. She has a new significant other, and they seem to really like each other. However, she seems to always spend her time with him, including on our game nights. We try to talk to him, but he basically ignores us. On top of that, his friends made fun of us one night, and he didn't stand up to them, which you think he would since he loves his girlfriend. One of the other group members said he used to be a huge womanizer a few years ago. When we tried to talk to her about it, she got really mad and is demanding an apology to the both of them. What should I do? I'm not exactly defending them, but everyone on here seems to be jumping down their throats as well. From your point of view, they're being unreasonable, but from their point of view, you're being a jerk. I don't know what the intervention was actually like, but can you at least see why some of them might have been concerned? They probably took it a little bit too far, with Bill leading the way, I'm sure, but you aren't faultless either. I think you need to drop Bill and then try to get to know them individually instead of lumping them into her Dungeons and Dragons group. Having everything be relayed through other people is a little juvenile. Maybe try to just grab coffee with one or two of them, or have them try to teach you how to play. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is don't make your girlfriend push her friends away because of one idiot. OP, I definitely plan on making an effort with those ones that apologized. I think the reason I never talked to them before was because they were probably a little hesitant around me, and I just took that as them not really wanting a conversation. I never heard my friends saying anything. If I did, I would have said something, even if it's just a little defense, because of my girlfriend. High school geek groups, in my experience at least, do this weird thing where if even one nerdy girl joins, everyone else goes into a "we must protect the Hive Queen" mode and becomes super territorial of her. That's why I'm a closet geek. For some reason, when those "nerdy is my only personality" guys find out that I share their hobbies, they think I'm the fated one heaven sent to them. It sounds like they're used to using this girlfriend's apartment as their hangout spot, and I wonder if part of their gripe is about not being able to use her place whenever they feel like it. It would also be easier on the group if the girlfriend dated within the group, so their dynamic isn't disrupted. They may have been hoping Bill and the girlfriend would pair up. Early 20s group dynamics are crappy adults who still engage in high school level drama. Well, what do you think? Is OP the jerk or not? Please let us know.
Don't date people with dramatic friend groups that cause problems and drama and stuff. It's totally not worth it.
Am I the jerk for not allowing my sister to use my farm as her wedding venue? My late grandpa started his farm while he was in his early 20s. There were financial problems along the way, but it became successful and he became rich. My late grandma, who passed last year, grew up in the average working class home. My parents came from rich families and went to private schools and Ivy colleges. My mother and father always wanted 3 kids, 2 girls and 1 boy. I'm the youngest out of 3 girls, and my parents were desperately hoping that their last would be a boy. But since I was a girl, they were resentful of me, and they didn't show any love to me, and I was pretty much treated like Cinderella. Because my parents showed resentment towards me, my sisters did too, and I was bullied by them, and they always got away with it. We were treated differently as they both went to private schools, private colleges. They were also allowed to do whatever they wanted and eat whenever they wanted. I went to a public school, public college, and I was only allowed to eat 3 meals a day. I didn't mind going to public school, but I'm just trying to show how I was treated differently. At the weekends, I was shipped off to my grandmother's so they could have family time. At age 12, I asked my grandmother if I could live with her, and she agreed. As soon as she asked my parents, they immediately said yes and started packing my bags. Whilst going to my grandmother's at the weekend, she made me work on the farm. Even whilst living with her permanently, she continued to make me work on the farm on weekends. I hated that I had to work on the farm, and looking back now, I realized why she made me do it, as she made me work on the farm as a source of therapy, as I was constantly arguing, and her animals were my therapy. I remember spending most of my days sitting with the horses and feeding the chickens. I also spent a lot of time running across her fields. My grandmother sadly passed last year, and she left this whole estate to me, which my family wasn't pleased about. I decided to leave my job as a lawyer and work full-time on the farm, and I'm so much happier. When my grandmother was alive, she also used part of her fields for wedding venues and events. She also allowed charities to have events on her farm free of charge. 2 months ago, my sister got in contact with me after 4 years of no contact and said she's engaged and asked me if she could use Grandma's field as her wedding venue, as she would like to get married here. The thing is, I can't let go of the past, and I've started therapy, but I told her I need some time to think about it. My first thought was to charge my sister a price for the venue and make it a price she couldn't afford, but that didn't feel right, so I simply said no. Now she's passed my number on to my parents and my other sister, and they're all saying this is my grandmother's farm, and she should be allowed to get married on the farm, and I should even do it for free. My emotions are pretty high right now, and I need to know if I'm the jerk. Tell them this. This is the only home that I've ever known. I will not be used by people who threw me away like yesterday's trash when I was younger and who have not chosen to be part of my life since then. You burned the relationship to the ground years ago. Grandma knew who all of you were as human beings, and she would not be pleased to have you all piling on like you are. Legally, this property belongs to me, and each of you knows why. My property is off limits. Sister may not hold her wedding on my property. If they escalate, tell them that you will consider it trespassing if they step foot on your property and actually follow through when one of your parents does, because one of them will. Not the jerk. I fired our family therapist after she asked for tips. My ex and I have a 12-year-old son who's going through some things lately. We found a therapist and we've been seeing her for a couple of years now. It hasn't been life-changing for me in any way. In fact, it became more of a pointless chore, like making your bed or folding your clothes. I might have gotten a few things out of it, but would not do it again. A few weeks ago, I had told our therapist that it's bizarre to not have to worry about money for the first time in my life. I make good money and I don't have many bills. I'm saving like $1,000 a month. Last week, the therapist asked me if I could start making a copayment. I don't have a copayment because my insurance covers 100% of therapy sessions. I explained that to her, and she said that was true, but maybe I could start paying like $20 cash because she's not making a lot with what my insurance pays her, like a tip. I was at a loss for words. I said, "And I suppose this has no relation to me telling you that I have disposable income from a few weeks ago?" She said of course not. It was like she was asking for a raise. I said I'd think about it. I found nothing about tipping your therapist. I talked to my ex about it and said that I was firing the therapist. She told me not to throw away 2 years of work, and I said this therapist tried to take advantage of me. She offered to pay, and I said I'm not stopping you, but I'm not doing the sessions anymore, and neither is our son. The trust I had in our therapist is broken. I left a voicemail and text message explaining that we weren't in need of services anymore. I haven't heard back. Guess what? Our lives didn't fall apart, and the therapist replied that I totally misunderstood the whole tip thing. Not the jerk, and I'd contact your insurance company. They'll probably want to drop her entirely if they find out about this. Yeah, also, if the therapist is registered with any type of governing body, I would report them. I'm a nurse and registered with my provincial college of nurses. It's unethical for any healthcare provider to ask for any type of gratuity, and if I did so, I would and should be reported and lose my license to practice. Not the jerk. That was trashy, and she needs to bill the insurance for more if she wants a raise. It's fine to think your time is worth more, but there are channels for this sort of thing. One slight issue might be unilaterally canceling the therapist your family has worked with. Your family not falling apart isn't really an indicator of her usefulness. Sounds like you're projecting how you personally feel about therapy onto your other family members. I certainly understand wanting to pursue a different therapist, but maybe wait until a replacement has been secured. I don't know. Everyone sucks here. Firing her was the right thing to do, but you're using this as an excuse to take your son out of therapy. Your son, who is going through things, should not lose the support just because you find it to be a waste of time. You don't see the point in therapy, fine, but don't use "our lives didn't fall apart" as justification for keeping your son from mental health treatment that he needs. The more I think about it, the more I question if you actually did misunderstand what she was saying and spun it because you find therapy worthless. Am I the jerk for not giving my engagement ring to my late fiance's family? I was engaged to John after dating for 4 years. When he proposed, the ring he used was 2 sizes too big. We went to the store that he bought it from 2 weeks before proposing, and he kept the receipt, got the right size, and kept the same style. We did plan to have the wedding after 3 years of planning and saving. 10 months after the proposal, John passed in an accident. I used the savings for wedding to pay for his funeral. The day after the funeral, John's brother came to me asking for the ring. I asked why, and his response was that the ring had been passed down their family for 5 generations. Told him that was BS because I have proof that the ring was bought for me less than a year ago. We argued for it a bit and he then stormed out. Then I get the call from John's family saying that I'm a liar and demanding the ring. Then I got a letter from their lawyer. In the letter, they also demanded that I reimburse them for costs of John's funeral. So I got myself a lawyer, showed the proof about the ring and how I paid for the funeral in court, and I won. I thought the madness was over until John's sister recently messaged me. She and her boyfriend are engaged but haven't gotten a ring, and she wants John's ring. After I said no, she went crazy and messaged me nonstop demanding it. I blocked her over and over, but she keeps finding a way around it. I was having brunch with my friend. My phone was on the table, a message from his sister popped up, and my friend saw it. My friend knows about everything. I explained her messages, and friend believes I'm the jerk and I should just give her the ring. She told my other friends, and they're all saying the same thing now. Now I'm doubting myself. So, am I the jerk? Extra info about the ring. The ring is from a company that designs jewelry based on movies and mass-produce each style in different sizes. This company started after the year 2000. When we went to the store to get the right size, John asked for ring 1 to be swapped with right size and same style. If he did modify ring 1 with any family diamonds, he would have asked for ring 1 to be resized. After the swap, and when telling his parents about the engagement, I showed them the ring and John told them where he bought it from and about the size swap. His parents never said anything about an heirloom ring and family diamonds. It was after the funeral they started saying that their great-great-great-grandparents were the ones that bought the ring and it's an heirloom. John's parents messaged me about not being able to afford the funeral. I paid for everything for the funeral. His parents didn't pay at all. I guess during my grief, it might have made me forget that his family owned most of the business and housing accommodations in town. It was during court that I found out he had life insurance and that money went to his parents and it was 2 times the cost of the funeral. Extra info about court. When I received their lawyer's letter, I thought it might be fake, but I called my friend, who's also a lawyer, and I explained the situation to him and asked him to check if the letter was real or fake. He told me to meet him with the letter and all my documents for the ring and funeral. He said the letter is real and he would help me. I did think that after their lawyer saw my proof, that might be the end of the madness, but the next thing I knew, we were in court. Most of the time I was confused, but I just spoke the truth and showed all of my proof. Reasons why John's sister wants the ring. In her first message asking for the ring, she said that John would want her to have it. It would feel like John is part of her next step in her life and let his spirit know that he's not forgotten. To explain why my friends think his sister should have the ring, the friend from brunch who saw the messages from sister and told the others about it, read sister's first message asking for the ring. Friend believes this is a good valid reason for the sister. Friend also believes the ring should actually be used, not stuck in a box somewhere or most likely lost. I pointed out that I did use the ring. I wore it during engagement, court madness with his family, and kept it on for a year after I won the case. Then only wearing the ring on his birthday and anniversary of our first meeting, when he proposed and when he passed. Friend called me a sad, selfish jerk and stormed off. Next thing I know, my other friends started messaging me about me being a jerk and sister should get the ring. After the sister's recent messages, I have called my lawyer friend. I sent him screenshots of her messages, and we got a meeting this week. I'm also thinking my friendship with the friends that say that I'm the jerk should give the ring to his sister. I'm also rethinking my friendship with these friends who say that I'm the jerk and I should give the ring to his sister. Not the jerk. It would be different if the ring had been a family heirloom, but it's clearly not. Perhaps you should get a restraining order or sue for harassment. I'd have your lawyer send a cease and desist letter to the sister demanding that she stop harassing you. Sometimes a lawyer letter can be enough to shut people up, not the jerk. My boss was cheating on his wife, did me over, so I told her. This was about 5 or so years ago. I was working as a server at a pretty nice place. It was a brand new restaurant, so servers as well as managers are still getting their grip on things, and things are changing rapidly as management figured out what works best, etc. We had this assistant GM we'll call Carl that had a terrible superiority complex. He would treat me and the rest of the staff like we were always incompetent, but was super buddy-buddy and friendly with the GM and owner, so nothing was ever said or done about his behavior. Carl was married to his very pregnant wife, who we'll call Sarah, that would come in around lunch quite often to bring him some homemade goodies and say hi. This was incredibly awkward for the staff, as we all knew Carl was hooking up with another server that we'll call Rebecca. Rebecca would also often be working when his wife would come in and would be extra friendly towards her. Carl would kiss his wife and be sweet and loving, etc. I didn't say anything, and neither did anyone else, even though we often talked about how terrible we all felt for Sarah and whether we should, but ultimately nothing was ever said until I'm working a crazy dinner rush, in the weeds, still doing a great job with my tables as I had already been serving for around 8 years at this point, when Carl calls me over to a table. The guests are sitting with their freshly brought out dishes as Carl proceeds to ask me in the most condescending tone, "Can you tell me what's missing from this table?" I proceed to look and realize one of the guests doesn't have a steak knife yet. Totally my job to bring one before steak is served. I messed up. So I say, steak knife, and proceed to turn to go grab one. Carl grabs my arm and forces me to stand there as he tells me how unacceptable it is to forget a steak knife, and that these types of mistakes will not be tolerated and I should be very careful about remembering these things going forward, etc. The guests look very uncomfortable at this point, and because of his raised tone and how close the booths are, I notice the neighboring tables are listening as well. I flushed red and apologized and went to go get the steak knife. Proceeded to do very well the rest of my shift. The next few weeks, my shifts are cut to 2 lunch shifts a week and no dinner shifts, compared to my usual 4 dinner shifts and 3 lunch shifts, running a double one of the days. I became very concerned immediately as I'm living pretty much week to week off my tips and paycheck. I go into my next shift early and ask to speak with the manager. Carl's already in his office waiting. I ask about my schedule, and he proceeds to tell me that they've hired new staff and everyone's hours have been reduced, etc. Okay, only when I go and ask my coworkers, 2 of them complain that they were given my shifts and actually don't want them, and they were upset to be working the weekend, etc. Same thing happens for 2 more weeks before I'm finally able to speak with our GM, who informs me that Carl does the scheduling and did voice the steak knife incident and use that as his rationale that I'm not cut out for dinner shifts. I'm livid as I really was working so hard, was recognized by my other managers for doing so well, and was never addressed for any other issues, only given praise. This proceeds to happen for another month before I finally get another server job I had applied for pretty much 2 weeks after. I quit the other place. I excel, and I'm quickly promoted to closing the new restaurant as well as given the best closing shifts because of my work ethic. As all of this is happening, I really kept replaying every conversation I had with Carl and how absolutely rude and demeaning he was to not only me, but everyone else. We often had girls cry during their shift because of his behavior. So I tried to see if I can find his wife on Facebook as I know her first and last name. I found her right away. And I'm no longer working there, so I decided to send her a message right from my personal account detailing what I saw with him and Rebecca while I was working there. I mean, it was terrible. Rebecca wasn't shy about telling anyone who would listen about the hotels they'd rent for the weekend, what their love life was like, how he would say that his wife just wasn't enough for him anymore, etc. I told her everything with as much detail as possible. She reads the message, but I get no response. 2 weeks later, I hear that they're divorcing, and he's been fired because his conduct was finally revealed to the owner after another server quit on the spot in the middle of a shift because Carl yelled at him in front of the staff about not folding the napkins correctly. Last I heard, Carl moved to a small town in the middle of nowhere where he's the manager at a local diner. His wife remarried and took full custody of their baby. Am I the jerk for refusing to feed my husband's nieces and nephews? I, 26 female, have been with my husband, Caden, 26 male, for 8 years, and we've been married for 4. We have a 2-year-old together, and we're expecting baby number 2. My relationship with Caden's brother and sister-in-law has never been great. She got really weird about me pretty quickly, and things soured from there. Caden told me his sister-in-law was jealous of the fact that I hit it off so well with his mom and sister, but especially his sister, and that his brother had always kind of followed his sister-in-law's lead. Seems his sister-in-law was around the family since she was a kid, and she and my brother-in-law have been together since high school. She always thought she would be like the second daughter for the family, but sister-in-law and her have always clashed a little and were never tight. Caden has been great about standing up for me when needed, and he has shut down his sister-in-law on more than one occasion when she was being rude. One of the things that has resulted from all of this is Caden's sister-in-law insisted I will never be her kid's aunt. They have specifically been told I am not their aunt and they are not to call me Aunt Emmy. I've been kept at a distance from the kids during family gatherings, and generally sister-in-law will ensure I don't interact with them. Caden sees them less as a result because he refuses to have me leave our home so they can visit. something his sister-in-law has tried to insist on. My relationship with sister-in-law is the best though, and we are close. She has a kid the same age as mine, and she'll come over and we hang out with our toddlers. Since she's here so often, I will often have enough food for both kiddos. She has picked up some inspiration from me on how to introduce food to toddlers since she said that her kids eat better since they started hanging out with us. She mentioned it at a family dinner recently because our parents commented how much better her kiddo was eating and the different plate that she used. She said it was all thanks to me and was saying how she really owed me one. Caden's sister-in-law asked why she hangs out with me so much and never spends time with her. It brought up some of the underlying issues simmering between the two of us. She then asked why I never do that for her kids and why I'm not sharing my vast knowledge with her. Caden jumped in and said she has made her feelings clear about me and has ordered me to stay away from her kids, so how am I supposed to do any of that with her or them? The very next day, she asked if the kids could come over for lunch, and I said no. She asked about some other day, and I said no again. She then told me I was a jerk and excluding her kids. I told Caden what happened, and he talked to his brother, or more like fought with him. I do feel kind of bad for the kids and would love to get to know them better, but I don't trust their parents in any of this. Am I the jerk? Not the jerk. She's jealous and now wants to horn in on what you and other sister-in-law are doing. I bet if you did have them over, the food wouldn't be right and she'd have all sorts of demands and she would expect your family to pay for it. Or she'd drop them off and disappear for the day. She wants a free babysitter and free food for her kids. Good for you and husband putting a stop to it ever starting. If anything, her family should ask if your kids can come over so you would have a break from being pregnant and all. My boyfriend doesn't want me to post our pregnancy announcement on social media. I'm 24, female, and I've been with my boyfriend, who's 25, for just under 2 years. We celebrate our anniversary in December. And a few months ago, we found out that I was pregnant. It wasn't planned, but I've always dreamed about becoming a mother, so I was very happy about it, and he was also very excited about becoming a father when I told him the news. We told our parents and siblings after the first ultrasound at 8 weeks, and slowly told our closest friends in the following few weeks. Initially, when we discussed it, we agreed to post an announcement for all of our extended family and friends on Instagram after the first trimester, when I hit 13 weeks. The time came around and I began to suggest various ways of announcing it, planning what pictures to use, captions, etc. But he shut it down and said he thinks it's too early and it's better that we wait until we find out the gender. Well, a month later, we found out that we're having a girl, and once again, I began the discussion of the announcement post. And once again, he shut it down and said we should wait until halfway through the pregnancy. I questioned him on this, asking why was he so hesitant and why couldn't he give me an answer other than he doesn't think it's the right time. My Instagram account is private and followed only by friends and families I know, while his is public. He's a professional athlete in his sport, and he has thousands of followers who he does not know. I thought he may have concerns over his private life mixing with his public life, so I suggested we only post the announcement on my account, as most of his friends follow me anyway, and he can tell his extended family each individually. He said he didn't care about that, but wouldn't elaborate on why he doesn't want me to post about our pregnancy. In the meantime, I also noticed that he changed the captions of some of his Instagram posts with me in them to remove any indication of how long we've been together. For example, last year he posted a lovely post celebrating our 1-year anniversary, and I noticed that he changed the caption a couple of days ago to remove any reference to an anniversary or that we had been together 1 year. I'm wondering if he's feeling insecure at how early on in the relationship we're pregnant and is having doubts over the pregnancy, or if there's someone that we both know that he doesn't want to see the post. Has anyone else been in this situation before? Should I be worried or concerned? Edit. He comes back from traveling tomorrow morning. I'll ask him about the caption, but will also post on my own private account for my friends and family to see. I can't see why he should have any problem with that, and if he refuses to tell me why he doesn't want me to post, then I can't see why it should stop me. Update. My boyfriend got home at 6 a.m. the next morning. I was going to let him sleep before confronting him about it, but this had been keeping me up all night, and I just needed to get an answer. The consensus on here is that he's cheating on me, or was cheating on me, and is trying to cover up his tracks. And honestly, setting my bias aside and trying to think rationally about this all, that definitely seemed like the most likely scenario in my head. I asked him why he changed the caption, and he was dismissive and tried to brush it off, initially saying something along the lines of how it wasn't a big deal, and he just thought the new wording sounded better and to let him go to sleep. I snapped and told him that made no sense, and then accused him of seeing someone else. His demeanor changed, and he suddenly became very attentive to the conversation. He vehemently denied ever cheating on or with me, and immediately gave me his phone and laptop bag and told me to look through whatever I wanted to and that he had nothing to hide. I then confronted him again about the caption and about why he didn't want to post the pregnancy announcement. I figured he had finally explained it all to me if he really wanted to prove he wasn't cheating. I was right. He caved a lot sooner than I thought he would and started explaining to me his side of things. Basically, the story he gave me goes something like this. Shortly before I hit 13 weeks, he went out with his teammate and best friend, Jay, and some of Jay's friends who had come over to visit from their hometown. My boyfriend had met these guys a couple times before, but wasn't close to them. He was planning on telling Jay the news when everyone left and was very excited about it. Somewhere in the conversation, they stumbled across the topic of fatherhood and essentially agreed that having a kid before you're 35 would ruin your life, be a burden, etc. My boyfriend apparently spoke up about how he thought being a dad would be fun and how he thinks he'd like to be a father in the near future. This allegedly turned into a roasting session where they would all take turns ripping into my boyfriend about how he would be an awful father. It wouldn't suit him at all. They feel sorry if he has any kids in the future. It was supposed to be some lighthearted banter between friends, poking fun at my boyfriend's intelligence and maturity, but it really upset him, and obviously he didn't end up telling Jay the news. He said that he didn't want to post about it because he was worried that Jay and his other teammates would have the same reaction to him being a father, and he didn't want to have something that he was really excited about be ruined for him. He said that the caption change was for the same reason. He was worried that even if they were happy for him, they would still find something to rip into him about once they realized I had gotten pregnant so early in the relationship. He said they wouldn't have paid enough attention to remember when we actually got together, so he changed the caption to make it more ambiguous and somewhat suggest we had been together for longer than a year at that point. It's worth noting that he had told me before today that his teammates already knew the news, and I hadn't questioned him about it as I saw no need to. I asked him why he didn't tell me this before if it was true, and he said he was embarrassed about it all and felt like he was being oversensitive to their comments since their relationship as teammates was also built on a lot of banter and ripping into each other was pretty normal for them. He also didn't want me to think he was having any doubts about the baby or the relationship because that was not the case. During this whole conversation, he was visibly upset and trying to hold back tears. He seemed very genuine with his explanation, and there are a few small details that back it up. As I mentioned, Jay was his best friend, and they would go out for drinks at least twice a week. But in the last month, he didn't see him at all outside of work and stayed home for the majority of the time when he didn't have to travel. I thought it had to do with me being pregnant and wanting to spend more time with me, but it may also just be that he's distancing himself from his friend because he was still hurt. I also remember when he came home that night, he was supposed to tell his teammate the news. He had been giddy with excitement beforehand, but when he came home, I asked him how it went, and he said something along the lines of, "Yeah, it went well," but that he was too tired to elaborate on it and wanted to go to sleep. I've looked through his phone and emails and found nothing incriminating. I can't rule out for certain any infidelity, but deep down in my gut and in my mind, I think it's safe to say that I believe him. He's asked me countless times what he can do to prove that he hasn't cheated and is intent on proving that he's faithful. He's even agreed to do a joint post on both of our Instagram accounts to announce our baby to all of his friends and followers. I guess I will never know for sure, but I'm choosing to believe my boyfriend and focus on our relationship and our baby. A. Having babies with boyfriend or girlfriend is stupid. If you're not serious enough to get married yet, you're not serious enough to be bringing kids into the world. They will grow up without a proper family, and this is both of your fault. B. If your boyfriend is really that pathetic to not stand up to his friends when they insult his ability to be a father, then those friends are 100% right. He is not man enough to be a father. He is basically a sad little boy. Professional athlete? Cool. But high-paid job is not what makes a good man or a good father. Your boyfriend is pathetic and will make a sad excuse for a father, and you should feel embarrassed to be carrying his child. Would I be the jerk for not inviting my closest friend and her husband to my wedding? I have known my best friend, Paige, and her husband, Carl, from university days. We were also flatmates for a few years. I was much closer to Paige, and my relationship with Carl could be, at best, described as distant friend. Last year, when I was on a dating app, I happened to come across Carl's profile, stating that he was looking for something casual. His profile was fairly detailed and consistent with what I knew of him. After some contemplation, I decided to share this information with Paige. I told her that I was unaware of their marriage dynamic and was in no way judging, but I did feel she should know that this information is out there. Paige told me that it was a case of impersonation and that they plan to file a complaint with the cybercrime cell. She also explained that I should never bring this up with Carl and that she would not tell him how she got this information. I agreed, and we left the matters at that. However, since this incident, things have changed quite a bit. Carl has stopped all forms of communication entirely. I'm not invited to their house for any celebrations or gatherings. Previously, I was invited frequently. When I invite them both, Carl has declined the invite, through Paige, every single time. Carl has not acknowledged any gifts I've given him lately. Recently, I decided to have an open conversation with Paige. I told her that I felt that the group dynamic had shifted quite noticeably. I also asked if it had anything to do with the dating profile. I requested clarity on the situation to help me draw my own boundaries. This is what Paige had to say. Carl still doesn't know her source of information about the dating app and that I shouldn't ever bring this up with him. I wasn't planning to. Me never being invited to their home or any of their plans, even with our common friends for over a year, even though I live 20 minutes away, is just a matter of chance. She wants all of Carl's interaction with me to happen via her because she wants it like that. She said so explicitly. I shouldn't create a fuss and that it shouldn't matter to me if someone doesn't like me, while also simultaneously saying that if Carl didn't like me, she wouldn't tell me because that's private between them. I should take whatever response Carl gives me in my stride. I should invite Carl to my wedding, but not directly, and the invite must be through her, and that I shouldn't worry if he refuses to attend. I should expect Carl to not attend, but if he does, then I should treat him like a pleasant surprise. This whole situation has become uncomfortable to me, and I'm now contemplating not inviting them both to my wedding. Would I be the jerk for not inviting my closest friend and her husband to my wedding? No, you would be the jerk if you do invite them. Why are you still keeping these people in your life? They are insane. Not the jerk. What I think is you caught Carl trying to or in the process of cheating, and were being a good friend by telling Paige. Paige has made her choice to stay with Carl. I get the feeling he knows it was you, despite Paige's claim of not revealing her source, because he probably saw your profile on the site around the same time he got caught. I wouldn't invite either of these people. There are way too many conditions on your relationship with them, and it's setting you up to fail. Karen and her family are using me for manual labor. My girlfriend, who's 27, and I, 28 male, we've been together for about a year now. She's great. The problem is, she and her entire family never chill. I don't feel like I fit in at all. She's a hairstylist. In her time off, she has gardens, and she's constantly working on projects. She likes to find old furniture by the road in rich neighborhoods and completely redo it. She's really good at it, and she can make it look really nice, but she's constantly doing something. Her entire family is like this. Her sister, who's 31, and brother-in-law have an entire farm. Apparently, the sister has some sort of fancy goat that she breeds that goes for thousands of dollars per goat. She does goat shows and stuff. They have huge gardens, just massive, tons of bird-type animals, chickens, turkeys, peafowl, etc. Her husband is a welder, and he makes good money, and their parents love him. The sister also constantly has projects going on. Pottery, paints, makes baskets, etc. Constantly something. I've been roped into digging potatoes and other gardening ventures as well as building a whole fence. However, they do give us a lot of free food, and they are very generous, so I try not to complain. Her brother, same thing. Works in construction, gets off, has gardens and tons of projects he's always doing. I found myself randomly clearing land a few times with him. Their dad is also the same way, constantly has a project going on, works construction, just constantly doing something. The rest of their family, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, etc. also do this. There's constantly something going on, and they all do blue-collar type work. At any given time on weekends, or in the evening, someone will call needing help with something, and all of a sudden I'm doing manual labor for a random family member. We can't even go by our parents' house without me getting roped into something. Just last weekend, we went to drop off something, and next thing I knew, I was putting metal roofing on a lean that I had no idea they were even planning to make. I never even had any hand tools until I met her. I didn't need them, I just call someone. I don't pretend to be one of these guys. I don't know how to do any of that, and I don't want to. I work a desk job, and when I get off, I want to play video games. That's about it. I didn't have this type of family. My dad never did any of this. He just called someone. I mean, don't get me wrong. When I need something done, they are there and have completely built me a shed for the lawnmower and a few other things within a couple of hours, better than I ever would have and cheaper. So I appreciate that, but I just don't fit in here. I really like my girlfriend and her family is nice enough. I don't think they really like me, but they're always nice. I'm just not sure if this is what I want. The stress of never knowing what's going to happen with these people and constantly being put in situations like this is kind of getting to me. My girlfriend doesn't get it. I've asked her to just go without me several times because I don't want to end up doing manual labor. We've argued and fought over it a lot because it just keeps happening and she goes along with it even if we had plans, so then we have to cancel what we were going to do and go help them. I hate it. I'm not sure what to do. If I stay, I know this will be my life. These people have no chill. Edit. I'm not saying these people are bad or anything. They're the nicest people I've ever met. They don't care who you are or what color you are or even if you speak English. If you need help, they're the kind to completely go all in. All hands on deck kind of people. There have been several times that a storm has come through or something has happened and my girlfriend is explaining to me how she knows this person or whatever, so they're basically kin and we help kin. We show up and there's 40 people and a bunch of tractors and people working and I don't know what to do. I'm just in the way. She just walks up to someone and then walks back and tells me where to go. This kind of stuff happens often. Or if it's planting season, it isn't just everyone planting their garden and moving on. No, everyone plants everyone's garden and we end up at her sister's place with 40 other people doing farm work. Then when it's time to harvest again, all hands on deck everywhere. Go from place to place, then to her sister's. I mean, I get tons of food out of it, but it's work, and I don't know what to do on a farm. But if we need something, I can count on them to show. A storm threw a tree onto my place, and by the time I started figuring out what all needs to be done, there were 40 people in the yard and her dad directing everything. It was done so fast, it was ridiculous. I mean, these people are really good about helping, but I get roped into this helping, and I don't know what to do with any of it. I just want to chill. There is no chill with them, though. Honestly, I think he won't be compatible long term. I had always dated women who were busy with stuff like this and came from families that had a ton of stuff going on all the time. Then I met my wife, who does what I do when we have time off. We quietly read, nap, talk, or go off on our own to our own little quiet hobbies. For her, it's working out, and for me, it's wrenching on a project car. I never knew how good downtime could be with a woman who is on the same wavelength as you. I feel zero stress with her at night or weekends. We don't rush around, we plan and ensure we don't need to do 6 different things and 8 different places, etc. I love it. Think long and hard about a future life with a family like this. You're not a match. That's the deal. Her family does this because they like it, because it keeps them close. Like, this is how they interact as a family. Does someone need help? Let's all jump in. Everyone helps and everyone is helped. It's a nice dynamic, but if you don't like it, there's no harm in that either. Find a girl who wants to game and call a plumber when the toilet is broken and hire a carpenter the next time you need a shed. No one is wrong, you're just not a match. Honestly, the family sounds like great people and probably make OP look selfish and lazy in comparison, which makes him feel bad about being himself. They are used to an extremely communal life. For me as an introvert and somewhat of a physically lazy person, this would probably start getting to me as well. Although everybody might be super nice and I would appreciate them, I would still want to be left alone as much as possible. The less I can be myself, the crankier I would become. Am I the jerk for refusing to take my ex-girlfriend's 2 other kids with me for Christmas? I, 40 male, have a daughter, Claire, who's 14, with my ex, Amy, who's 39. Amy and I broke up when Claire was born because she felt like we settled down too soon and felt shackled by our relationship and family. We've always shared 50-50 custody ever since. I got married to my now wife, Jane, who's 35, about 5 years ago. Amy went on to have 2 other kids with 2 different men who aren't involved with their kids. So she has full custody of her 2 other kids, then 50% custody of Claire. Her 2 youngest sons are 2 and 4. Claire doesn't love her living situation with her mom. The place is crowded and her 2 younger brothers are just toddlers. She says they don't leave her alone and she gets no time alone there. So she prefers to stay with me more often now. She also gets along really well with my now wife and wants to spend a lot of time with her. Claire asked me if she could spend Christmas Eve and Christmas Day with me and Jane. Our regular schedule was that Claire spends Christmas Eve with one of us and Christmas Day with the other. Then we switch it around the next year. I told Claire that I can't give her an answer to that without discussing it with her mom. She asked her mom before I could discuss it with her, and Amy called to tell me it's okay and that Claire can spend both days with me because she has her hands full anyway, and it would take some work off of her plate. I'm excited to have both days with Claire, and so is Jane. Jane actually suggested we go somewhere, since we have both days to spend with Claire. So we planned a trip to a beach resort in another city. I called Amy to let her know, and she said it's fine, but she called me back 2 days later asking if there's any chance I can cancel the beach trip and do something in our city, and also include her sons so that she can go and see her family this Christmas. She said her sons don't have passports, so she can't take them to another country with her to visit her family. But this is the only time she has to visit her family because she always has to work. I said I barely know her kids, so it's going to be strange to just take them in and care for them for however many days that she's gone. I want to just relax with my wife and Claire, and taking care of 2 toddlers that I don't even personally know is not my idea of a good Christmas. That's so much pressure, and I haven't taken care of a toddler in about a decade. I also already told Claire about the beach trip, and she was so excited, so simply staying home isn't an option if it's not an emergency. I don't imagine she'll be too happy to have her brothers come along when she complains about being at her mom's house because of them either. I told Amy the reasons above, except that Claire doesn't like being around her brothers, and she said I'm doing this to punish her for leaving me, and that I could easily take care of her sons, but I'm being spiteful. I told her to stop being ridiculous. We broke up 14 years ago, and I found the love of my life after that. There's no reason on earth for me to be spiteful. I said I really am sorry to decline her request, but I'd rather just be with my immediate family this Christmas. She said she didn't think I was the type to alienate kids out of spite, and she's disappointed in the man I've become. This is the first time since our breakup that we've had an argument or anything even close to it. She usually isn't like this, so while I think it's unreasonable of her to expect me to take care of her 2 sons while she's gone, I'm kind of worried that I damaged our co-parenting relationship. Not the jerk. She's emotionally blackmailing you so she doesn't have to take care of her kids. Not the jerk. You're not their parent or guardian. She's had however long she needed to sort out passports, and this sounds like a trap. Maybe my brain is going wild, but what if she never returned off this vacation? And also, what if she did return and started telling tall tales about how you were bad to them or something? This leaves you in a very vulnerable position in more ways than one. Am I the jerk for telling my daughter that she should leave her pet rat at home now that my girlfriend has moved in? I'm 45 male. My girlfriend, who's 45, of 2 years, and I have moved in together. Everything is great, and she gets along very well with my kids, at least with my son. I share custody of my 2 kids, who are 16 and 15, with my ex-wife, who's 40. There's one problem, though. My girlfriend has a phobia of mice, rats, squirrels, in other words, rodents. This is something we all know, and people laugh about it, but it's a serious issue for my girlfriend, who can't even see a picture without starting to hyperventilate. My daughter got a rat as a present when she turned 15. She brought it home, and my girlfriend freaked out, and she apparently left the apartment without even noticing that she didn't have her shoes or coat on. I got upset with my daughter because she knows my girlfriend's fear. I told her that she should leave her pet at her mother's house from now on when she comes over. My daughter got upset and started yelling that my girlfriend is being ridiculous, and me too. Her rat wasn't the problem, so it shouldn't have to be kept at her mom's, and that my girlfriend should move out since she's the one who has the problem with the rat, not the rat with her. I told her that we are a family, and family makes compromises. Now she's saying if her rat isn't welcome, then neither is she, and she's planning to stay with her mom until her rat is allowed or my girlfriend moves out. My ex-wife called me to tell me that I'm the jerk for choosing my girlfriend. I told her she was the jerk for getting my daughter this present. Am I the jerk? Update. Yeah, like many here have anticipated, this whole rat thing was planned on purpose. And I have to say it makes sense, since I never once had the impression that my daughter even liked rats. I was surprised at the birthday party. My girlfriend and I moved in together about 3 weeks ago, and the rat showed up 10 days ago. I know this now because I've tried to text my daughter about other suggestions, like a second rat, a dog, etc. She has made up her mind, it's her or my girlfriend in the apartment. My son told me all of this. He said that my ex-wife and my daughter have been bashing my girlfriend and calling her a homewrecker. Anyway, my daughter can live with her mother for the time being because, legally speaking, kids here can decide which parent they want to live with at her age. The plot twist is that my son expressed desire to move in permanently with me instead, and I guess that's because of all the drama. My son hates conflict and confrontation. Of course, ex-wife is now bombarding my phone because she believes that I have put my son up to this because my son said he'll start packing a bigger bag today if I agreed to him moving in permanently. He talked about visiting her instead of living there, and I agreed. This is escalating very fast, and I don't seem to have found the brakes to stop the madness. My suggestions made things worse. Thanks for listening. If any 40-plus divorced parents have any advice on how to resolve this issue, I'm all ears. And if it's relevant in any way, I didn't leave my ex. She did. One day she sat me down without forewarning and told me she wasn't happy anymore and wanted a divorce. Everything went fast afterwards, and we were divorced 6 months later. It was never an affair or anything, but I think she liked someone, but it didn't work out. After a few months, she said she regretted it and wanted to reconcile, but I didn't feel right about it. And one thing was her finality in her decision, but most importantly, I wasn't in love with her anymore. So she suggested us dating again. We were supposed to keep that a secret in case the spark didn't reignite, and we would have built up hope for our kids for nothing, but she probably told them anyway. I started dating my now girlfriend around the same time, and I fell in love with her. I ended things with my ex. The odd thing is that she cordially accepted my decision, but apparently she hasn't, and I'm reaping what we sowed now. It felt good to vent about it here, so thanks. And any 40-plus divorced parents who would want to talk, hit me up. Absolutely not interested in input from 20-year-olds with no experience of parenting. Update. Well, my daughter is now refusing to talk to me, and she has moved in with her mom and said that this is permanent. My son moved in here with me, and I can see that he really enjoys it here. I've been blocking my ex-wife's number for periods at a time because I've been receiving all kinds of threats and insults from her saying that I manipulated my son against her. My son is a very quiet boy and has never given me any impression that he's been having a bad time with his mother. I only noticed when he moved here and started talking and opening up about how miserable he's been. The rat, my daughter decided to free him, and she and her mom drove to the woods and just let it go. I'm no expert on rats, but that's the story. My girlfriend and I have decided to get a dog. Maybe that would change my daughter's mind about not visiting. Although I must admit that life has been so much easier now than when she was around, making everyone walk on eggshells not to set her off. Both her and her mom refuse therapy. Over and out. Am I the jerk for telling my daughter that either everybody comes to her birthday party or no one comes at all? My daughter is 11, going on 12, and her birthday is coming up in a few weeks. For her birthday, she wants to go swimming, so we rented the local community center that has a pool and a giant activity room where we'll have lots of treats and stuff. We asked her to make a list of who she wants to invite so we can get everything coordinated. She asked if we could just invite her whole class of 20 or so kids. It's a big activity center with lots of room, so we said that was fine. So she goes to the kitchen and about 10 minutes later comes back with her classmate directory. Her school puts together a small binder that lists the names of the students by each class, the names of their parents, and a phone number and email address for them. She hands it to me, and I quickly noticed that 3 names had been crossed out. I asked why, and she said those are the ones she doesn't want to invite. I started asking her other questions, like if they had an argument, or if they were mean, bullies, etc., and she maintained that no, she just thought they were strange and didn't like them. I told her that she can't just invite the whole class with just 3 exclusions. She just kind of looked at me and said it's her birthday. I explained that this could be hurtful to them, and that if she was so staunchly against them attending, then it would be better to have a smaller party and invite just a handful of her closest friends. She said she doesn't want a smaller party, she wanted a big party, and I told her then everyone in the class is getting an invitation. She said no, they aren't, and I told her okay, then no one is, and she ran out of the room crying. She has started crying and running away whenever she has seen me since, and I'm starting to feel guilty. My wife was frustrated with me and says that she gets where I'm coming from, but it is my daughter's birthday, and she should have only the people there that she wants. I try to explain that I don't want our daughter to be a reason that these 3 kids have a crappy time in school. I can't, in good conscience, let her exclude other kids like this. Am I the jerk here? Wife says all we need to worry about is our daughter having a fun birthday, and I'm already ruining it for picking a fight over something no one will remember years down the road. But I don't agree at all. If they were bullies, that would be one thing, but they aren't, so to me, it's cruel. And cruel sticks with people. Not the jerk. Can I suggest you speak to your daughter's teacher and ask if there have been any issues or trouble with those 3 kids she doesn't want to invite? But you are right. If there are no issues, it should be all or none. Not the jerk. Kudos for teaching her right versus wrong. Maybe turn it around and ask her how she would feel if she was one of the 3 excluded from a classmate's birthday party. This one's hard. As a teacher, I personally do believe kids should be able to pick who they want and not be forced to invite the whole class. This is a special day for them, and in the real world, you don't include everyone as much as it sucks. However, inviting such a large percentage and then leaving out just 3 is really rough. Any way to edit things a bit? Does she mostly have girlfriends and there are 3 guys? So maybe leave out all the guys and make it an all-girl party. I feel like in a class of 20, maybe leaving 7 out is okay, but when you start getting down to the smaller numbers, it'll hit them hard. Whatever you do, send the invites outside of school if not everyone is invited. Ultimately, I suggest you talk to the teacher. Your daughter may not want to share the real issue. No jerks here. You're the jerk. I know this might be controversial, but I was a kid not long ago, and I was friends with most people in my class, but there were definitely kids that I didn't like or get along with that I didn't want at my birthday party, and I've always thought it was unfair that I had to invite them. My mom had the same opinion as you. Everyone should be invited, and I shouldn't leave anyone out. But at the end of the day, it's their party, and it will just be uncomfortable for the guests because they will know that they're not wanted there. Trust me, kids are ruthless and will go above and beyond if they are unhappy with the situation. I think you're just going to end up making your kid unhappy and the other 3 kids as well. Will your daughter and her friends actually include them in the activities, or will they just show up to the party and be left out by everyone for a couple of hours? Which scenario is best? If they were toddlers, I'd understand. Kids that young are friends with grass if need be, but they are at the age to have people that they like and dislike. I won't share gift cards with my husband. I, 33 female, have a type of job in one of the care industries. While I do work for an actual company, sometimes the clients that use the services of the company are so grateful of the level of care that an individual employee may give to their loved one, they feel moved to give us gifts for our efforts. These gifts can range anywhere from a bouquet of flowers to homemade or store-bought treats, gift cards, etc. Anytime I get delicious treats from clients, I always share them with my husband, who's 33 male. However, if I come home with gift cards, like a $25 Amazon gift card or a $50 Visa, my husband wants me to share those as well. One time I came home with 4 gift cards, Target, a Visa, and 2 Amazons. When he saw them, he started talking about how I need to share them since no one gets him gifts for his work. He works in construction. He moped about it, and I do love him, he works hard, and I gave him one of my Amazon gift cards and insisted on keeping the other ones myself, since these are gifts from clients that I work with and for the care of their loved ones. Recently, I've been given gift cards again, and when he saw them, he asked what I planned on getting with them. So I told him, and the items I plan on getting will be strictly for me, and he scoffed at that. He started complaining again about how I should share or get something that benefits both of us. We went back and forth a bit. I reminded him I always spend my own money for things that benefit us both or that we can both enjoy, and that when I use these gift cards, I always get something I can't always afford with my own money. He kept insisting that I share. He brought up the fact that it wasn't fair that even though I shared an Amazon gift card with him before, he ended up with nothing because Amazon messed up his order and he never received his item, but he got a refund. I told him that that was not my fault at all, and at that point, I got really annoyed and told him to leave me alone. He made a comment about me not being raised to share. I'm an only child, and I got mad and told him, that's that sibling mentality and only works with parents and their kids. Get over yourself. And I walked off. He side-eyed me. I kind of feel bad about it, but honestly, I just want my gift to be mine. I work with a new set of clients every few months, so this is a frequent occurrence. Is there a better way I can respond or handle it better in the future? More context. We're not exactly well off, but bills are always paid and our fridge is always full. We can afford to treat ourselves once a month, and we always treat ourselves together or we don't leave each other out. But like, if we want to get ourselves something really nice, like a set of weights or a kit to do my nails, then it is a sacrifice the other does not benefit from, so we put purchases like that on the back burner for a while. We have gifted each other just because in the past as well. Additional info. My husband works construction and I work in a care industry that is not medical. In fact, in the field I work in, it's customary in the US to give gifts to the workers during a designated appreciation week or during Christmas holidays. So I only get gifts twice a year, more than 6 months apart usually, and the most gift cards I've ever gotten was 4. But the value of those gift cards usually don't amount to more than maybe $50. We also have no kids. We consider ourselves 50-50, but it goes like this. My husband makes more than I do. He takes on all utility bills, including internet and cell phone service, covers health insurance and car insurance. I inherited a house that needed repairs. There's no mortgage, but there is a home repair loan I pay monthly, and I pay the car note for a car that I purchased. Since the house belongs to me, I choose on the responsibility of saving for property taxes. After we're done paying our bills with our own separate accounts, we usually have a few $100s left in our individual accounts. We put that together and we use that to buy groceries and bath and home essentials. We treat ourselves once a month. We share almost every interest and hobby, so say if one person wants to go to the comic book store as a treat, we both walk out with comics. If one wants to go buy a video game, then that's cool because we're both gamers. Or we take a drive to the beach, go see a movie, go out to dinner, etc. We're not rich, but we can afford to go out at least twice a week. We try not to. Update. I asked him about why he got so upset at me wanting to use the one $25 Amazon gift card I was gifted for myself, and he admitted he hoped I would get something for the house, since the kitchen is lacking some equipment, and he knows that $25 is not much, but it could make something nice cheaper. He then told me that I don't have to do that. I asked him why he brought it up, me being an only child, and he said, I don't know, I guess I'm just used to having to share and such with my sisters, but I guess that's different. I reminded him we share everything except makeup and clippers, and reminded him it's not my fault my mom couldn't have more of me, just like it's not his fault his family had to stretch resources, and comparing our childhoods isn't gonna help the situation any. I told him I wanted to get a gel nail kit so I could do my own nails again. I lost my old stuff in a fire. And he said, I do like when your nails are done. Then we went out for a nice breakfast. So yeah, I'm keeping the gift card. The end. Thank you and good night. My fiance secretly went to Paris to see a female friend. I'm 27 female. My fiance Eric, 27 male, has a friend, Jane, who's in her 20s, who lives in Paris. She had moved by the time we were introducing each other to our friends, so we've only met over a video chat. Me and Eric have been together for a year and a half, and before we got together, he and Jane were involved. He told me it ended badly, but they did get over it. I don't know exactly what happened. I've never asked. She's really important to him. They do talk once or twice a month over text or video chat, and I know that they have a lot in common. I've never gotten the impression that either one wants to go back to how it was before, and he's never given me a reason to be insecure, until now. He asked me to marry him 3 weeks ago, and I said yes. I was really excited to marry him, but then suddenly a few days ago, he announced that he needed to go visit family, which was weird because he cut his family off several years ago. He has expressed to me that he has no interest in seeing them again. He said that it was an important family emergency, and then he just left. He kept me updated, and we talked a few times on the phone. He told me that his mom was having health issues. I had no reason to be suspicious. Edit. I'm reading that over, and it sounds weird, but he's always been very touchy when it comes to talking about his family, and I didn't want to push it. But then, a couple hours ago, I get a message from Jane asking if Eric was okay. I said that he was visiting family, so he was probably just a bit stressed out, which is why he wasn't responding to her messages. She then informed me that he's in Paris with her and snuck a photo of him in her apartment. I haven't replied to her yet. I'm freaking out. I have no idea what to do. He just got on a plane to fly 12 hours to see her without telling me, presumably last minute. Why is he there? Do I talk to him? Has anyone else been in this kind of situation before? I mean, good on Jane for telling you. Is she aware you guys are engaged? OP. Yes, she knows. She congratulated us both, and I believe he told her that he was going to propose before he did. Update. I left him. A lot of people were concerned that he'd find the post, but I did change the details. The main issue remains the same. Jane lives in a foreign country, at least 12 hours away, and he decided to go to her without telling me. After I posted and the comments started rolling in, I had to shut my phone off. There were many people saying that Eric wanted to be with Jane, that he wasn't over her, and I started having a panic attack. I'm not an insecure person usually, and Eric had given me absolutely no reason to be. But this whole thing, I felt very stupid and like I'd been blind. He was always very open about his friendship with Jane and how much she meant to him, but there was absolutely nothing that made me think he still had feelings for her. Honestly, even if he had told me he wanted to visit her without me, I probably would have said fine, as long as I got to go on my own vacation. Anyway, I got Jane on the phone the next day. Her story is that he just showed up at her door, claiming that he missed her, and that he just needed to get away. She provided proof that she had no idea he was coming, and I have no reason to not believe her when she tells me nothing happened. I think she was angrier than I was. At the time, she figured that something really bad must have happened, either with me or with his family. She knew from past experiences it was better to just let him talk when he was ready rather than pushing it. She gave it 2 days, during which he was behaving very impulsively, kept spacing out, and he brought up their past multiple times. They hadn't seriously spoken about it since it ended years ago. He's usually the calmer, more level-headed of the two of them, so this behavior was extremely out of character. Finally, she decided to text me to see if I knew anything. After I told her that he was with his family, she put it together pretty quickly that I had no idea where he was, and she confronted him about it. They got into a massive fight that lasted for hours, and she eventually told him to leave. She didn't really tell me what the fight was about, just that she yelled at him for not telling me, but after talking to him, I've got a hunch. Me and Jane talked for a long time. Both of us were crying by the end of it. I think this whole thing opened up some wounds. She told me their history, a lot of which really surprised me, like how they weren't even really boyfriend-girlfriend, and he's the one who ended it. He had always given me the impression that it was bad, but ultimately mutual breakup. It was just a really toxic situation for both of them, and it took them a long time to get back to being actual friends after, which brings me to my conversation with Eric. He showed up a few days later after I talked with Jane. I had packed up and left to a friend's at that point. He came over to talk. My friend was in the place the whole time. We talked for a while. I asked him 100 questions and he answered 5 of them. He said he was sorry, that he can't provide an actual explanation for what he did because he doesn't understand why. I said that wasn't good enough and I needed him to tell me what happened. He said he couldn't because I won't understand. I suggested couples therapy for us. He's been doing it individually since before I even met him, but he said he didn't want to. He just wants to forget it happened. The positive explanation I have is that he had some kind of freak out after we got engaged, or maybe something did happen with his parents and he couldn't talk to me about it, which is fine. I don't necessarily think that if someone is struggling, the first person they should always go to talk to about it is their partner. I'm totally fine with him going to Jane if he was freaking out over the prospect of us getting married, or if he did hear something about his mom. Jane could probably understand that better than I could and would know what to say, but he can't even talk to me about it now, and nor is he making an effort, so how does that bode? He just wants to pretend that everything's fine and normal, and I can't do that. On top of all of that, up until now, he's never been secretive about how he feels or what he's thinking about or his history. He hates talking about it and is touchy about people asking a lot of questions, but he's always told me stuff if I ask. I think if he was panicking over us getting married, or if something actually happened with his mom, he'd tell me. I couldn't help myself and asked if it was because he just didn't want to talk to me about it, or if he wants to be with Jane and regrets how he treated her. He denied it, but I think I hit a nerve. He claimed that he doesn't have any leftover feelings for her other than the fact that she's a big what if. She's important to him, but she's in the past and I'm the future. This may just be my fear talking, but what if this whole time he's been using me to try to make Jane jealous because he realized that he lost her, and he went to see her to see if she still wanted him just in case. I think that's what they fought about. I think he went there to see her because he realized he still wants her, and she's been off living her life without him, no problem. It's bad enough if that is the case, but if I take him back, what if she changes her mind? I don't have a reason to believe she'll change her mind. She doesn't talk about him the way that I talk about someone I'm romantically interested in. And now that I know their history, I wouldn't want him back either. But who knows? After our conversation, it's obvious that he's not 100% certain that he wants to build a life with me, and he's not willing to do what it takes to fix this. I'm not worth the work. He won't even try, and that's basically the big issue for me. I can't build a life with someone who won't put in the effort.
My Karen mother is expecting me to sleep in a backyard tent on Christmas. I, 18 female, am the youngest out of 4 kids. My siblings are 31, 28, and 25. We were raised by our dad and stepmom, and our biological mom lives in another country with her husband. She wants me and my siblings to spend Christmas with her this year and has offered to pay for our transport and visas. My siblings are all married and have kids and are going to bring their spouses and kids with them. Our mom's house is quite big, and she said she'll spread out air mattresses in the living room and there's a guest room. She didn't say anything specifically to me about where I'd be sleeping, so I assumed I'd be sleeping on one of the air mattresses. Well, one of my brothers told me that my mom expects me to sleep in a tent outside. I honestly thought he was messing with me, but when I asked my mom about it, it turns out she did. The conversation wasn't in English, but it basically went like this.
Me. Brother said that you expect me to sleep outside in a tent. Is this true? Mom. Yeah, I thought you would be fine with having your own tent. Me. Why didn't you talk to me about it? Mom. I didn't think it would be a problem. Is it a problem? Me. It is. I don't want to sleep outside. Mom. I don't know what you want me to do. There's too many of you. Me. Can I sleep on the couch? Mom. No, my husband likes to watch TV late. You'll be a nuisance. Me. I don't know then, but I'm not sleeping outside. I'd rather not go. My mom told all of my siblings about the conversation, and now they're all mad at me and told me to just suck it up and go. They said I'm being selfish and making a fuss about nothing, and that I can't expect any of them to sleep outside with their spouse or their kids. I told my dad about it, and he's now really upset with my mom and said that she's being a mega jerk and alienating me on purpose, and they had a huge fight on the phone. My siblings are all mad at me for causing this. Edit. My mom lives in Western Europe, so it will be very cold there, and most likely snowing as well. Not the jerk. The fact that your stepdad wanting to watch TV at night is more important than you being able to sleep inside tells you exactly where you stand in your mother's priority list. If your jerk siblings continue to pretend that sleeping outside in a tent during winter isn't a big deal, tell them that you'll accept their offer to switch beds with them. Knock money off my paycheck for grammar mistakes? Let me point out all the mistakes on my boss's work. Years ago, I took a job in another country for a very small company that taught English. My responsibilities included reviewing and editing lesson plans created by non-native English speakers. Many of the lessons taught EU English, while I'm accustomed to US English. My boss, and the only other native English speaker, was from the UK. Therefore, there were certain nuances that I was unfamiliar with. That being said, I was one of the better people on the team QAing, but I wasn't perfect by any means. There were often mistakes I saw slip through on lessons not assigned to me to review, but I never purposefully called people out for them. It was kind of a crappy company and bad lessons to begin with. But if there were glaring mistakes, I would quietly fix them. One pay period, months after I had been working there, I received a decrease in my pay along with a note explaining that the reasoning was because of X and X mistakes that had slipped through on my work. I was upset as this was not a part of my contract, but I couldn't really contest it in this foreign country. The note did, however, note that this decrease in pay for mistakes made on job duties was for all employees in my department. I knew that there were tons of mistakes on other lesson plans that weren't mine, so I pulled up the first one and began sending messages in the group chat of every mistake I could find, and there were a lot. I did this rapid fire until my boss, who was sitting across from me, sent me a message that essentially said, "Don't worry, I can assure you I am being held to the same standards and expectations," before he got up and walked away in a huff. After he walked out of earshot, my other coworker laughed and said he had messaged her and asked how I knew that particular lesson was one he had QA'd. I told her I didn't know. I had just pulled up the first one I knew there were tons of mistakes on. I didn't get any more money taken out of my paychecks after that, but I left the company shortly after. Edit. Have learned I'm stupid, and it was British English.
Imagine your sister is getting married and she demands that you lose weight before going to her wedding. That's exactly what happens in our next story. It just popped up on your screen. Give it a tap and come have a listen. You won't believe what happens next.